Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
Welcome to McKeon Park, where the final week of the Cape League season has all the drama. Hyannis and Cotuit are separated by a single point and cling to the last two playoff spots in the West Division. The Kettleers may be cold after two straight losses, but Cotuit is white hot against Hyannis, having captured the season series. Meanwhile, the Hawks have found their legs of late and look to end a tumultuous month of July with a playoff push. It's the 5th edition of the Battle of Barnstable on Cape League TV. Folks, how lucky are we? Welcome inside the broadcast booth here at McKeon Park for Game 35 of the Cape Cod Baseball League season. With Max Schwartzberg and Graham Nash, I'm Giovanni Collada. Max, the Hawks enter this pivotal final week of the season hot, two winners in two of their last three games, and it's because they've capitalized on free passes.
And not just three passes, a plethora. How about 19 walks issued to the Harbor Hawks hitters, 3 hit by pitches, and then 7 errors committed by opponents. And Hyannis 2-1 in the last 3 games. They're finally starting to do something that they didn't do all month, take advantage of those free passes. And a team like Cotuit, who hasn't issued that, if they give you that tonight, you're going to have to lock in.
And Graham, Hyannis may be trending upwards, but it faces a Cotuit team that's had its number this season.
Yeah, it really has, and we've been talking about how good Cotuit's ERA is, but I want to talk about the hitting that the Kettleers have put on most recently. Over the course of the last 3 games these two teams have played, 12 extra base hits, including 2 grand slams for the Cotuit Kettleers. It's just all come together for them. And Hyannis pitching is really going to have a tough task ahead of them, because the first game that these two teams played, Cotuit had no extra base hits, and Hyannis won 3-1. So it's all going to come down to pitching, and for Hyannis, it has to be sharp.
Well, these two teams are neck and neck in the West Division standings. Mitch Carricker knows how significant this week is for his Harbor Hawks, and I caught up with him moments ago. Giovanni Collada catching up with manager Mitch Carricker pregame. Coach, this is the time last year where your team surged into a West Division title with 7 wins in 9 games. How do you rekindle that now?
Just taking it one pitch at a time, I think, is most important. You can't get caught looking too far ahead. Tonight's a big one. Cotuit's a good team. They've played us really tough every time we feel like we faced them, and so starts tonight just winning pitch 1 with Mason on the mound and going from there.
The Kettleers have won each of the last 3 games by big margins. How do you quell their fire on offense tonight?
Yeah, I think for us it's going to be executing pitches and playing good defense. I think that's how you start and how you finish. And it's going to start with Mace, and we really like the matchup. We think he's throwing the ball really good, and for him, throwing strikes is going to be number 1, and then playing good defense behind him.
Last time out against Wareham, you improved your record in 1-run games with a couple of key walks in big spots. Well, how does your team show up in that moment every time?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. They understand the strike zone. They know how to work the counts and put ourselves in a position to win. Obviously we would have liked to probably get more than 1 run that inning. But credit our guys. Jeff had a huge walk there to give us the lead, and then giving the ball to Kelly to finish it out felt really good.
Playing a guy tonight on the mound for Cotuit and Ryan Buckler that you've seen before this season. How do you carry that from last game into another matchup with a pitcher you're familiar with?
Yeah, hopefully the hitters that saw him, understand how they're going to get pitched. understand what he's throwing and how we can be successful against him. For us, it's going to be, can we eliminate the strikeouts? Can we put the ball in play? Being able to hit with runners in scoring position is going to be huge for us. And so, all those little things are going to add up to a really good game, and looking forward to a good challenge tonight.
Hyannis and Cotuit meeting for a 5th and final time at this regular season. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Guys? Well, Max, Coach Carricker is not focused on the future ahead of this big week.
Yeah, it's crunch time, but he's doing everything that he can to control everything, because that entails his ability to, control the next pitch, because if it's the next pitch mindset, there's not going to be an opportunity for the Harbor Hawks to get caught up in what's going on, because we do know there's only 5 games left in the season. It's a point in the year where you are scoreboard watching a little bit, but all you can do is focus on your game in the next pitch.
And Max, you mentioned scoreboard watching. Graham, it'd be hard not to think about the future a little bit, given how big this slate is for Hyannis.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, 1 point behind Bourne, who's in that second playoff spot. 1 ahead of this Cotuit team they're about to play, and then 4 ahead of Falmouth. It is really close right now in the West Division, and it really has been. Since the beginning of July, no team has wanted to take this. No team in the West Division has been willing to do what it takes to run away with it. And so we're now in this position where this last week is going to be dramatic. There are going to be big swings, and it's going to just come down to who wants it the most.
Well, 2 of the mainstays in the Hyannis lineup, Jake Schaffner and Ryan McKay, are going to be critical to that playoff push. And our sideline reporters, Ethan Wax and Ava Fernandez, caught up with them pregame.
Jake Schaffner alongside. And Jake, you had a big at-bat in the 9th inning last night, or 2 nights ago, rather. Did your mindset change as you were coming off the bench?
Yeah, a little bit. I knew I had to get my mind prepared and really ready to go for a game, and ultimately led to getting the hit.
And during that at-bat, you couldn't get the bunt down. So how did your approach change when there was 2 strikes?
Yeah, I kind of got a little rattled when I didn't get the first 2 bunts down, so I kind of closed my eyes and swung, but it all worked out.
And Cotuit has had your number this season. What is your mindset as a team going in?
Yeah, it's a big game for us, but we're going to treat it like every other game and hopefully pull off with a win.
Thank you for your time and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Guys.
Ava Fernandez alongside Ryan McKay from Michigan State. And Ryan, at Michigan State, you hit a .306 for your batting average. How kind of do you stay disciplined at the plate, bringing that same exact motivation from Michigan here?
Yeah, I think it's just, having an approach every single day and sticking to my routine that I do every day to be consistent. My goal as a hitter is just to be as consistent as I can and, finding barrels as often as I can. I think that's what I do best.
Yeah, and throughout the season, you've kind of been fluctuating as designated hitter and out on defense. Is there a specific position that you like playing better, or what kind of is the role with both?
I like doing anything as long as I'm in the lineup. That's what I'm happy with. I've played second my whole life, so I'm probably just more comfortable there. But, I played around at third base, and it was a lot of fun just trying new things out, and DH is fun. You just got to focus on hitting. But, yeah, I don't really mind.
Yeah, and you've had a signature dab that's kind of came with every single on base that you've got at Hyannis. Is there a story behind that, or how did that come about?
We were just in the locker room at Michigan State, and we were like, what double celebration should we do? I'm like, let's bring back the dab, bro. So I just started dabbing.
So it's been like that for a while now?
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah.
Oh, fun. Well, he's brought it to Hyannis tonight, and hopefully we can see another dab when he gets on base tonight. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ava. Hyannis and Cotuit for the 5th time this season. Coming up next.
I think, Dean, they're allowing you to find your own success and your own true independence.
Dean is a whole group of all different kinds of people and communities.
Since I've come to Dean, I've learned a lot of time management skills.
Our community is especially tight-knit, and the majority of our students live on campus. And you are guaranteed 4 years of housing while you attend Dean.
Dean is just full of opportunities for you to embrace, to welcome, so you can change yourself to who you want to be and form your career for the future.
So go through that, all right? Think that way.
Be a bulldog. Have a bulldog mentality in everything you do in life, whether you're playing sports or in the classroom or just socializing around campus.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.
Get ready for big results with our small machines. With more power, performance, comfort, and savings. They're ready for every job. And we're ready with plenty of inventory, the best support in the business, same-day parts availability, and locations across the Northeast. So you can always be ready to work. Milton Cat, always ready.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.
You can make any bat feel lighter by adding a velo puck knob. Instead of having to go get a whole entirely new bat, you can simply add the puck to it. Players can use this with any bat. It's basically going to shift the weight of the bat a little bit more towards the hands. Players are able to hit the ball a lot harder just by simply adding the puck on.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
Your future begins at Dean College.
Make a difference. Leave your mark. Break the mold.
Be a leader.
Achieve unimagined heights.
Believe in yourself.
Make lifelong friends.
This is your time.
Your place.
Your home. Your Dean.
It all starts here at Dean College.
You can make any bat feel lighter by adding a velo puck knob. Instead of having to go get a whole entirely new bat, you can simply add the puck to it. Players can use this with any bat. It's basically going to shift the weight of the bat a little bit more towards the hands. Players are able to hit the ball a lot harder just by simply adding the puck on.
Welcome back to McKeon Park, where it's a hot one at the ballpark today. Up over 90 degrees, but these teams are sticking it out through the heat. Hyannis and Cotuit facing off for a fifth time, and here's how Lauren Hibbs lines them up for the Kettleers. You see Ryan Farber there, only player left in the Cape to play in every game for his team. He led his prior squad in hit scram, and now he's moving on to Auburn off a remarkable Cape League season.
He's been phenomenal. I mean, he's been a mainstay for this team, especially against Hyannis. He's found ways to hit, get on base, score, no matter the circumstances. So a huge, huge piece for Cotuit to have at this point of the season when everyone seems to be leaving.
And the consistency for Cotuit is there as well. All 9 guys have played against Hyannis at some point this season. And it's a roster, Graham, that has not experienced some of the turnover that Hyannis has so far.
And that's huge. I mean, I think that's why Cotuit has taken it to the Harbor Hawks as of late. And that's why Cotuit definitely has risen in the ranks as of late as well. They might be on a 2-game losing streak, but they're meshing very, very well. They played very complete baseball the last time that these two teams played against each other, and that's a big reason why.
Going up against the lefty out of the U of A in Mason Russell. Came into his freshman season in Arizona with a mountain of expectations after he put together a prolific high school career, was named the Big 12 preseason freshman of the year, didn't get a lot of run at Arizona, comes to the Cape where he's facing some great competition regularly and has struggled a bit.
Yeah, he really did, especially early on. 4 earned runs allowed through his first 2 appearances, both of those against a very hot YD team at the time. But in his last appearance against this Cotuit team, by far through his most complete performance. 1 2/3, 2 hits, and then zeros in every other column. No runs, no walks, didn't strike anybody out, but that's not really his game. He's a pitch-to-contact guy. You'll see and hear a lot of bat-to-ball, but when he's pitching his best, it's weak grounders, it's pop flies. It might get into the outfield and be a fly ball, but it's rarely at risk of leaving the yard.
Only got in 7 games at Arizona. That's what he's making tonight, his 7th appearance. Here's the defensive alignment for Hyannis. It's Parker Brocious in left with Owen Prince back in center. He's leading off tonight. Sawyer Black into the lineup once more. He's in right field. Jake Schaffner's at third. Charlie Bates is at short. Ryan McKay is back at second after a couple games of DHing. Jace Doby at first base with Jeff Luigi the DH and Dayton LaChance catching for Mason Russell. We mentioned the heat. It is sticky tonight. Teams enter this pivotal final week of the Cape League season just 1 point apart in the standings. Hyannis in third for the first time since the beginning of July. Of course, the Harbor Hawks were first at the end of June. A difficult month that's coming to an end soon has sent them all the way down as far as 5th, but now they're back in third ahead of Cotuit by 1 point. These two teams meeting for the 5th time this summer. First pitch upcoming to Camden Johnson. Russell fires. Breaking ball misses the upstairs corner. We're underway at 6:04. Couple minutes late with a scorcher here today in Hyannis.
It's really hot, and it's going to be interesting to see how the players are affected, especially early on. No BP today for either of these teams, so the bats might come out cold on both sides.
1-0. Right down Broadway for Mason Russell. Camden Johnson leading off for Cotuit tonight. He's played in all 4 prior meetings between these two teams. Last time out on the 24th was 1 for 4 with an RBI single in that 11-0 Cotuit win. Flares the 1-1 foul. Johnson, a rising junior, headed to Oklahoma from Wichita State after 2 years with the Shockers, joining a couple of Harbor Hawks moving on to the Sooners and the likes of Miles Davis and Dayton LaChance. Wind blowing at the back of the batter here. Mason Russell's got a fastball, a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. Not terribly high in the velocity, Graham, but he hasn't needed it so far this season.
Right, that's the weak contact that we talked about a little bit earlier. His spin, his movement is very dependable and very sharp, but the fact that he can control it pretty consistently is by far the biggest piece.
Looking for a first out of this game. He levels the count. Mentioned he didn't get the run he probably expected in his first year at Arizona, given what he did in high school. Number 2 lefty in Arizona, number 6 nationally, headed to the Wildcats. Only got in 7 games. He strikes out Cam Johnson. Dayton LaChance looking to complete the out. He fires a ball late. And Jace Doby saves what could have been extra bases. Camden Johnson strikes out, but he's on first base.
That's now twice that Hyannis defense has done that over the course of a week. And LaChance just totally thought he had it. He lost it, thought it was in his glove. And that is a free pass. We heard Max talk about free passes in the beginning of the show. It's already coming back to bite.
Now Ryan Farber digs in. The only player on Cape Cod who's appeared in every game for his team this summer. And Russell pours a fastball below his knees. Farber, formerly of Texas State, moving on to Auburn as a native of San Antonio. Going away to play against some of the best talent in the country, Graham, and he's already gotten a good precursor to that here. 1-0. Chopped to third. Jake Schaffner over to second for one. McKay for the turn. Fires it just a bit high as Doby was off the bag.
Well, it was a great play from Schaffner. This hopped right into the palm of his hand, and he was just able to hang on just a little bit high for McKay, but either way, that would have been pretty bang-bang over at first with Jace Doby. But Schaffner, he's more of a shortstop. I mean, we know that if you can play shortstop, you can play anywhere on the diamond because Max has talked about it a lot, but still, not his normal post. He hasn't been there for quite a few games, so a very good first play for Jake Schaffner.
He's been at shortstop each of the last 6 times he's been in the lineup. And Caden Bogenpole at the plate for Cotuit. Launches the first pitch down to the first base line. Sawyer Black to the wall. He runs out of room. The big swinging Caden Bogenpole begins the game with a bang. Cotuit jumps in front 2-0. How about that for a fast start?
Well, Cotuit with 2 grand slams over the last 3 games against Hyannis. This maybe not as grand, but man, absolutely smoked that ball. It was launched so high, it looked like it'd be pretty routine. But man, he just got all of that baseball and absolutely nailed it.
That one was so high that a bunch of the infielders thought it was foul. Sawyer Black made an effort to get to the wall. Just watched it sail over the scoreboard. Mason Russell gets a breaking ball into Jack Natilli. Catcher batting cleanup tonight for Cotuit. Bogenpole's home run is the 38th hit for Cotuit. Now in the last 4 games, the 39th run for the Kets. Big swing and a miss from Natilli. And Hyannis, as much as it's played well of late, just hasn't seemed to find it against Cotuit.
The Kettleers just play him really, really well. I mean, from start to finish, the hitting has been good. The pitching has been phenomenal.
Of course, last time these two teams met, Cotuit won 11-0. That was one of 2 run rule victories for the Kets against Hyannis in 4 games this season. Now here in Game 5, Hyannis looking for a first win since the first meeting on June 21st. 0-2. Natilli fights it off. Natilli, a rising junior at Cincinnati. He's played in 18 games for the Kettleers, one of 10 players for Cotuit on the opening day roster that is still in the lineup today, and the Kettleers have used that consistency to move up the West Division standings. A strikeout for Mason Russell. Caden Bogenpole got the home run, but Natilli strikes out swinging. It's the second K of the inning for Mason Russell.
Yeah, a really big response here. And a great 12-6 curve to get it done. Just put it right underneath the bat of Jack Natilli. But still, Cotuit doing exactly what they wanted in increasing Russell's pitch count. That was the 14th pitch that Russell threw in this inning. He only threw 27 total against Cotuit the last time that he dealt.
First pitch to Dean West. Loops in for a strike. Russell, we talk about inducing that weak contact. Caden Bogenpole did the polar opposite of that for the home run. Looking for some more of that here to get out of this first inning. Fires a ball inside.
And that was the first home run that Mason Russell has allowed this season with Hyannis. It's not like pretty consistently players have gotten a catch of that weak ball or that weak contact ball and sent it far. That was only the first time.
1-1. Sails just to the outer corner and clips for a strike. Well, Mitch Carricker needs a definitive third starter to join the likes of Carson Yassa and Max Stammel, who have proven themselves recently. Mason Russell trying to make a bid for that post. 1-2 pitch. Chopped high over his head, takes it himself, and the lefty fires a third out. But Caden Bogenpole tags him for a pair with a long ball into right, and Cotuit takes a 2-0 lead.
Your future begins at Dean College.
Make a difference. Leave your mark. Break the mold.
Be a leader.
Achieve unimagined heights.
Believe in yourself. Make lifelong friends.
This is your time.
Your place.
Your home. Your Dean.
It all starts here at Dean College.
For each Harbor Hawks home run hit this season here at McKeon Park, $50 is donated to the Family Pantry of Cape Cod by Monomoy Real Estate and Construction and Pretty Picky Properties Select Vacation Rentals. Pretty Picky and Monomoy, the team with everything you need to hit a real estate home run on Cape Cod. Well, Caden Bogenpole hit a home run in the top half of that first inning. It gave Cotuit a 2-0 lead with a moon ball into right field. And here's how Mitch Carricker's lineup will look to respond in this game. He's got Owen Prince leading off once again. There's Jace Doby. He's gotten himself back into the lineup after not playing a few nights and enters today hot at the plate. Jeffrey Luigi, after playing second last game against Wareham, worked a key walk in that top of the ninth inning where the Hawks took the lead, followed up by Dayton LaChance, who's got some pretty similar, or different stats rather, when catching versus DHing. Ryan McKay and Jake Schaffner, you heard from him pregame, a couple of mainstays in this lineup. They'll be critical entering this final week, with Parker Brocious, Sawyer Black, and Charlie Bates rounding out the 9 for Mitch Carricker. Going up against a hometown kid in Ryan Buckler out of Barnstable High School, native of Barnstable, Mass. Cape kid through and through, making start number 4 today for the Kettleers, along with a second appearance against Hyannis.
And he's got a pretty good season going. See that ERA, 2.29, but he's very similar to the style of Mason Russell. He can allow a big hit. He's not a strikeout guy.
Owen Prince jumps on the first ball. Deposits it to Dean West at the track, a long run, and it bounces right in front of the wall. And the speedy Prince easily jogs into second, and the response is on for the Hawks.
And that's a great way to do it. First pitch swinging. Owen Prince doing something we haven't seen a lot of from this Hyannis team as of late, and he just totally turned around Dean West. West was going back with that wrong shoulder, had to flip around at the last minute.
And now Jace Doby up to the plate. Immediately represents the tying run. Rising senior out of Nevada on a 3-game hit streak entering the day. And Ryan Buckler will have to settle in. Good start. Well, for Prince, we mentioned time and time again how often he's stolen bases. Hasn't gotten to do it here, and that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reason for it is that he's been over at second a lot.
Gets away from Natilli, throw to third is late, so Owen Prince uses that speed right away.
Yeah, this looks like it just kind of got away. Natilli went with the back pick instead of putting his body in front of it, and that's all that Owen Prince needs to see to go over and take third.
90 feet from cutting this to a 1-run game after the wild pitch from Buckler. 1-1. Dips low, and Jace Doby, who we thought could be a first consistent two-way player of this season for Hyannis, hasn't needed to be because of how good he's been at the plate.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. I mean, just doesn't expand the zone too much, really stays in the zone. And he's got a good eye. He rarely will get himself behind an account. It feels like he's always ahead, or at least over these last 3. He struggled a little bit after a very, very quick 4-for-4 start. But over the last 3 games, he's really controlled an at-bat.
3-1. Rope down the third base line. It just bounces foul. Well, Dobie's only worked 4 walks this season. Did have a hit against Wareham last time out, an RBI double in the first inning. That was after 21 walks in his first year of D1 baseball with Nevada, top 5 on his team. He shoots the 3-2 foul. I mentioned Mitch Carricker looking for a third starter. He's also looking for a consistent bat to slot into the top of the order.
And Dobie might be that guy. We've seen him trade off with Gabe Camacho a little bit over at first base, and Dobie also plays a very good first base. So that gives Carricker a lot of freedom to do what he wants with Dobie and Camacho.
3-2 slash to third, a dive for Johnson across the diamond. It's a first out for Cotuit. It also keeps Owen Prince at bay.
I mean, that's just such an impressive pick from Camden Johnson. It was well behind the plate, and he was able to just slide, and also really good base running from Owen Prince. He didn't get jumpy. Imagine that with his speed, he would have beaten out that throw if Camden Johnson tried to make it, but still, just really, really smart base running.
You speak of consistency, one of the first names that comes to your mind on this Hyannis team is Jeffrey Luigi, rising sophomore at Duke, who's made a name for himself so far here on the Cape. Takes a first pitch outside from Ryan Buckler. Graham, a guy that didn't get a lot of run at Duke, and this was really his first opportunity to play with the best of the best on a consistent basis, and it's boding well for him right now.
Yeah, he's answered the call every step of the way. Early on, I mean, he got off to a hot start. Hits in both of his first 2 appearances, and then went kind of back and forth, but man, did he catch a streak in the earlier and mid parts of July, and then just hasn't really looked back. He's worked 5 walks over his last 2 games, but hasn't gotten a hit. He just does what he needs to for his team.
Luigi, a midsummer arrival for Hyannis, one among these guys that was going to have to step up after key departures of guys like Chris Rembert and Miles Bailey, Matthew Murrah and Jackson Willits more recently. And Luigi, as you mentioned, has done just that, but he chops this to second. It should bring the run across, and nearly throwing off the bag, Buckler was Luke Matthews, but Hyannis does scrape one across. Luigi continues to be productive. Here's the defensive alignment for Cotuit. Dean West in left field, Caden Bogenpole in center, Nolan Stevens in right, Camden Johnson at third, Ryan Farber at short, Luke Matthews just made that play, he's at second, it's Taggart Tyson at first base with Zan Von Schlegel, the DH, and Jack Natilli, the catcher for Ryan Buckler. Hyannis draws into the lead, and Dayton LaChance tries to get it back with one swing. Last time he was at McKeon Park, he made his mark a couple times ago against Bourne. 4-for-4 performance, 3 doubles and 3 RBIs to go along with a single. Down quick 0-2 here. Also productive the last time he was at McKeon Park against Chatham on the 26th with a couple of RBIs on a sac fly and a ground out. Catching for Hyannis today. Launched into left field, Dean West was cheating towards the alley, and he grabs a third out of the inning, but Hyannis does bring one across after Jeff Luigi's RBI ground out. 2-1 headed to the second.
If you can dream it, if you can cruise in it, if you can summer in it, fish from it, or take it for a day at the beach, we can protect it. The Baldwin Group, protecting the possible.
There hasn't been a ton of training when it comes to bat speed or products for players to be able to train bat speed. You can improve your bat speed and reach your goals working 10 to 15 minutes a day on this a couple of times a week. It's a no-brainer for every player.
Cape Cod 5 is proud to be the official banking partner of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod 5 offers a broad range of financial products and services tailored for every stage in your financial journey. Reach out to us. We're here to help.
The lights at McKeon Park stay bright all season long thanks to the NAC Cape Cod. The NAC offers 2 locations in Hyannis and in Orleans, both offering delicious burgers, tacos, sandwiches, and more. Visit thenaccapecod.com to order online today. The NAC Cape Cod is proud to be the Light Up the Park sponsor of the Harbor Hawks all season long. It's a bit of a track meet in that first inning. A 2-1 Cotuit lead headed to the top of the second. And Graham, Mason Russell made one mistake in that inning, the home run to Caden Bogenpole, but looked comfortable after that.
Yeah, he responded really, really well. Got a strikeout of Jack Natili right after. Natili, a cleanup hitter and a really, really good power hitter for the Cotuit Kettleers. And that's what it's all about, the response from Hyannis. That's what they've done so well over these past couple ball games, is when they've gone down, they have responded. And that's been pretty much the formula for success for this team, is how well can the pitchers specifically bounce back after a couple hits and a couple runs.
Zanvon Schlegel begins the inning for Cotuit, the DH leading off 6, 7, and 8 for the Kets. These teams separated by just a point in the West Division standings. Russell dishes low to begin the second frame. Von Schlegel, a rising junior at St. Thomas. Played last time against Hyannis on the 24th. Went 2 for 5 with a couple of doubles. Or rather, a single and a double. Did score a run and stole a base. And a lot of guys have played against Hyannis in this lineup today. All 9 have played against the Harbor Hawks at some point this season. 2-0. Ripped into center field. Owen Prince to the track with a basket catch for a first out.
And that's going to make it really hard for Hyannis pitching. I think that's what we're seeing right now to begin the ball game, is Mason Russell had a little bit of struggles early on. That fielder's choice and then the home run for Caden Bogenpole. These guys, these Cotuit batters, have really, really seen a lot of Hyannis pitching. They've seen so many different variations in different situations, and that just kind of gives them a leg up. That's why they've been successful in the past.
Nolan Stevens to keep it going. Flares it into left field. It dunks in front of Parker Brocious. And a single for the incoming Oklahoma Sooner in Nolan Stevens.
The ambush tactic, we saw it in the bottom of the last inning for Hyannis and Owen Prince, and this time Nolan Stevens takes a page out of that book. Really good swing as well, kind of left over the heart of the plate, and Stevens just kind of keeps that bat flat, sends it right opposite field.
Now up to 39 hits in the last 4 games for the Kettleers against the Harbor Hawks. They've seen a lot of Hyannis pitching, Graham. They've seen it well. Swing and a miss for Luke Matthews. Mason Russell looking to jump back into this inning after allowing the single to Nolan Stevens. For Cotuit, it was a hard start and maybe a hot finish on deck. 1-7 to begin the season. That's the worst 8-game stretch since 2016 to open a year. Squares and pulls away as Russell's ball is low. First time these two teams met, Graham, Cotuit had scored just 10 runs in 6 games. Last in the league, trailing the next team by 11. Since June 28th, though, the end of the month, Cotuit leads the league in average on-base percentage, runs, and has struck out the least.
And it's the on-base percentage that you really got to look at. That kind of peaked for them in the early parts of July. They slowly started creeping up in that column. Think specifically of Andrew Wiggins, who just left Cotuit. He was sky high in the walk column.
Tapped down the third base line. Did it stay fair? It did not.
And so when he left, you thought it might blow up Cotuit's on-base percentage a little bit, but it truly hasn't. The rest of the Kettleers have totally just taken a page out of his book and are so good at getting on base. And as we know, getting on base, just putting the ball in play, leads to chances. It leads to opportunities. And that has been just monumental for the Kettleers.
And Luke Matthews trying to work himself on base, just as Hyannis did, Graham, in that last game against Wareham, where that 9th inning in which Hyannis took the lead only featured 1 hit, but they still got that one across. 2-2. Drifts away from the zone to run the count full. And the other talking point with Mason Russell we didn't get to was the fact that he hasn't faced significant competition much at all during his time at Arizona. Only pitched against 1 Power 4 opponent in 2025 with the Wildcats. 3-2. Skied into left field. Parker Brocious backs to the track and flashes for out number 2. A great recovery for Mason Russell after that single.
Yeah, he's done it in back-to-back innings now. I mean, after that home run, striking out Natili was impressive, and he goes right back to some weak contact there, his bread and butter. But to your point about his last season again with Arizona, he only made limited appearances in February, March, and April. Did not pitch past April. 2 appearances in February, 3 in March, and 2 in April. He really just did not see time. So for him to have a slower start to the season and kind of work his way into a more comfortable position, I think is a little bit expected. But now it's about the response.
Tagger Tyson at the plate. And Russell pours in a first pitch breaking ball. This is just the second college start for Mason Russell. 7 appearances, 1 start at Arizona. Just 7 1/3 innings across those games. Now he's pitched more than he ever has since high school. 10 1/3 on the Cape entering the day. 8 runs and 9 hits across those outings. He's allowed a run in every outing he's pitched in this season for Hyannis. Facing the incoming Kentucky Wildcat in Tagger Tyson. Fires a fastball high. Tyson committed to Kentucky while he was here on the Cape on July 12th. Comes off a season at Louisville where he started 18 games at catcher, but plays just his second game at first base today for Cotuit. We keep coming back to this Kettleer team's absolute onslaught against Hyannis this year. In the last 3 games, all Hyannis losses by 7 or more runs, as home plate umpire Jeff Merzell calls time. The Hawks have struck out 8 or more times in 3 of those 4. Of course, all of them the losses that Hyannis took so bluntly. One offering. Sails outside. Now, Graham, despite that fact, it does feel like Hyannis is playing better baseball of late.
They definitely are. I mean, I think about the errors. The infield errors have been significantly decreasing for Hyannis, and consistently. That was something that really plagued them for a while. But over the past couple games, they've kept that clean. We haven't seen as many hit batsmen. We haven't even seen as many walks. It's been a lot cleaner baseball, especially on this end, the defensive end.
Mitch Carricker told us that before the game, that his defense has done its job recently, despite committing 3 errors in the win over Wareham a couple days ago. 2-2, off goes the runner. Tapped softly to second, Ryan McKay with a clutch and a late throw to just beat the runner to first base and end the inning. A 1-run game headed to the bottom of the second. Hyannis has played in a lot of those this season, and our Max Schwartzberg has more.
Thanks, guys. Well, Sunday's 2-1 win in Wareham improved Hyannis to just 3-7 in 1-run games, and that's after a 1-6 start. One of the reasons why is that they've really struggled capitalizing on free passes opponents have given them. You see, when the score is tied, the Harbor Hawks have drawn 46 walks. That's the most in the Cape League. And especially against the Gatemen, who issued 7 walks to Hyannis, the winning run came in that 9th inning on a bases-loaded freebie to Jeff Luigi. And of course, with 6 games left in the regular season, including tonight, Mitch Carricker is going to look to capitalize on anything opponents give them for free. Now we'll send it back up to the booth. Guys.
Thank you, Max. And Hyannis, Graham, in 1-run games is 3-7 this season. That win over Wareham, just that 3rd win, but it's felt like they've played better in 1-run games than that.
I mean, that's the best 1-run game I think that you can win at this point if you're Hyannis against a West Best in Wareham. And it wasn't like they just squeaked by with free passes in the way that they did at the very beginning of the season in the season opener. They had to earn that. I mean, think about Jake Schaffner coming in, pinch hitting in the 9th and getting that big single. And then Brody Briggs as well, wearing a pitch, trying to bunt on a 2-2 count where if it went wrong could have really put Hyannis in a tough spot. And then, I mean, the closers, Speciak and Kelly, it was phenomenal baseball. And baseball that they had to earn. It wasn't given to them. And I think that's the big difference.
They've certainly taken advantage of free passes from other teams. You heard that number that Hyannis has walked 19 times in the last 3 games, and to no one's surprise, they've won 2 of them. Ryan McKay digs in to begin at the bottom of the second, still facing Ryan Buckler for Cotuit. Kid hailing from Marston's Mills in Barnstable. It's a couple miles away from here. McKay slashes the first pitch right into center field. And he remains hot, the second baseman from Michigan State.
McKay starting to put together a good run here. That's now a 3-game hit streak for him. Takes it right back up the middle. And I mean, just a good piece of hitting. He kind of went cold over his last 5 games going into 2 games ago against Chatham. But since then, he's looked like the Ryan McKay that we know.
Let's play Who's That Harbor Hawk here on Cape League TV. These are getting tougher and tougher. For Mississippi State in 2019. Looks like a long minor league tenure somewhere in there before joining the Rays this year. I need the difficulty meter on this one, and if it were, Graham, it'd be all the way to the right.
It's high.
Jake Schaffner swings through a first offering from Ryan Buckler. A couple of mainstays to begin this inning with Ryan McKay on first base. Graham, you mentioned that now a 3-game hit streak for the Michigan State Spartan, but a really slow stretch from the 17th up until the Cotuit game on the 24th. Schaffner's down 0-2. That was so jarring because of how good he was to begin the season, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and he still performed in the All-Star game, which was kind of sliced right in between that hitless streak. But he just didn't quite look like himself. He was experimenting again with that puck, which I think is a good sign that he wasn't happy with where his swing and where his contact was. But in Ryan McKay fashion, he got right back on the horse.
Schaffner buys a ball from Buckler. And this was a conversation had at some point this season that walks could turn it around for him because he led Michigan State in walks this past year, and now he's got 4 in his past 2 games. Also hasn't needed it with the hits. He dives back ahead of the throw from Buckler. Buckler transferred to FAU from Virginia Tech, just 1 season for the Hokies as a freshman. Goes on to FAU and plays a bunch more than he did for the Hokies, 18 games compared to 4 for Virginia Tech in 2024. And Schaffner levels the count against him. First Cotuit player from Barnstable since 2019. Nice to have for the Kettleer fans to have a hometown kid wearing the maroon and white. Parker Brocious waits on deck. McKay's at first, Schaffner at the plate. Snap throw from Natilli, and a botched transfer from Tagger Tyson will get McKay back safely.
Man, McKay is fortunate that Natilli and Tyson didn't quite have the connection there because he slipped on his way back to first base. That would have been a pretty easy back pick if Tagger Tyson got that into his glove like he should have.
Buckler looking for that first out, and it'll be a difficult batter to do it. Off goes McKay. Natilli bounces the throw into short, and McKay is safe. It's a swiped bag for the Michigan State Spartan after the leadoff single.
Another little bit of a fortunate break for Ryan McKay. If that was right on the money, he might have been caught stealing there. He got caught yesterday, or 2 days ago now, against Wareham, and just hasn't been able to use his speed as much out here for the Harbor Hawks.
Hasn't stolen a ton this season, Ryan McKay. Of course, this is not Hyannis' team that hasn't stolen a bunch either, as Parker Brocious takes the first pitch strike. That's just the 7th stolen base for Ryan McKay. He's also been caught 5 times. Brocious skies the first pitch, shallow into right field. Tagger Tyson plays his position, or fields his position, and makes a second out.
What I like for this Harbor Hawks team right now is that they're swinging early and really trying to ambush Cotuit. They haven't had much success against this Kettleer team, just working their way into at-bats. They had a lot of success early on in the season, really going after pitchers and after teams and trying to just ambush them a little bit more.
Here's Sawyer Black trying to not waste Ryan McKay's leadoff single. Buckler loops a breaking ball in. Black out of North Carolina, headed back for a sophomore year with the Diamond Teals and a native of North Carolina. Missed 26 games with a hamate bone injury this year. Really cost a lot of his mojo. And we didn't really know what we'd get in Sawyer Black after that injury.
Yeah, he just kind of popped right back into play, though. He hasn't seen a lot of consistent playing time just because of how this roster has turned out for Hyannis. But over his past 4, 5, 6, he's done pretty well. He's gotten hits pretty consistently.
keep the inning alive, and Buckler playing a game with Ryan McKay at second base. This is game 13 for Sawyer Black. He struck out in each of his first 5 to begin his Cape League tenure. It's not like he wasn't effective. He's got a 3-run home run in that mix. But since he's only struck out 3 times. Mashes the 1-1 into right field. Nolan Stevens to the track. It's gonna fly! Sawyer Black gives Hyannis the lead with his 2nd home run of the year. Goes to the deepest part of the ballpark, and he did not miss.
Well, after his double against Brewster on the 21st of July, Mitch Carricker said he thought like he was finding something. And he really found that home run well into the trees.
2-run blast for Sawyer Black, and just like that, Hyannis jumps out in front. 9-hole Charlie Bates steps up, looking to flip the order and continue the 2-out rally. Black fires that home run 96 off the bat, goes 403 feet into a very deep part of the ballpark here at McKeon Park. Bates is down 0-2. That's the Sawyer Black that we've seen in recent games.
Yeah, he's been hitting well for power. He didn't get a lot of reps at North Carolina, so he didn't get to show it off there, but man, he's got a lot of it.
Just 3 home runs for Sawyer Black in 16 games. He missed 26 of them with that lower hand injury. Of course, that cost Mike Trout 89 games in 2023's Major League Baseball season. It's common for baseball players, but it does render swinging difficult in its aftermath. And here's a guy in Charlie Bates that has his swagger back. 1 for 20 rough patch in the middle of his season. Picked it up against Brewster on July 6th. Oddly enough, that was in the middle of Hyannis' biggest struggle this season.
Yeah, he was a bright spot for them for sure. He was hitting very, very well, hitting consistently. He just couldn't really hit in spots where there were runners in scoring position. As of late, though, Bates has been on a little bit of a colder stretch. Only 1 hit over his last 4, but he finds a way to get on base regardless.
Did walk twice against Wareham, and his eye has improved astronomically.
Yeah, I mean, he only drew 1 walk through his first 11 games. Now he's up there for the team lead. He just looks so much more confident in the box.
2-2 count. And Bates runs it full. For Ryan Buckler, that's just the 2nd home run he's allowed this season. Now start number 4, appearance number 9. Brings a 3-0 record this season into this game through 19 2/3. Bates tags it to shortstop. Ryan Farber ends the damage there for Buckler. But Sawyer Black, with 1 swing of the bat, gives the Harbor Hawks the lead. It's felt like a long time to be able to say that against Cotuit.
Get ready for big results with our small machines. With more power, performance, comfort, and savings. They're ready for every job. And we're ready with plenty of inventory, the best support in the business, same-day parts availability, and locations across the Northeast. So you can always be ready to work. Milton Cat, always ready.
If you can dream it, if you can cruise in it, if you can summer in it, fish from it, or take it for a day at the beach, we can protect it. The Baldwin Group, protecting the possible.
Time for the top of the 3rd inning. Hyannis has taken a 3-2 lead after Sawyer Black's 2-run shot. Let's take a look at the standings heading into the final week of the Cape Cod Baseball League season. There's more parity, Max, than feels like in a long time as we welcome you into the booth for this inning of play-by-play. The West Division is anyone's race.
Yeah, I mean, it's really close. 36 and 27, so only separated by 9 points. Of course, that could change over the course, but what you look at is the middle race, 34, 31, 30. We could see a lot of jumbling throughout the standings, and of course, home field advantage is something that these teams want to look for.
Hyannis won the West Division last year, but it didn't come without difficulty in that final week. Hyannis began the week in 4th place, won 7 out of 9 to end the season, and surge ahead of the Wareham Gatemen and these Cotuit Kettleers for the West Division title. Mason Russell still on the bump, facing the order for a second time, and Camden Johnson takes the first ball inside. Johnson struck out to begin the game, but Dayton LaChance did not complete the out after dropping strike 3. And Caden Bogenpole hit a 2-run home run in which he was one of the guys that scored. Rather, Ryan Farber, the guy after him, scored, and Camden Johnson thrown out on the fielder's choice. But Johnson playing against Hyannis once again, Max. All 9 guys in the lineup tonight have played against the Hawks this season, and we saw how that played to their advantage. Tags it right back up the mound. It pierces into center field. Camden Johnson reaches base for a second time and as many at-bats to begin the 3rd.
Well, takes it right back where it's pitched. He wants it on the outside part of the plate. That one leaks over the middle. And a mistake pitch taken advantage of by Johnson. But as you mentioned, Gio, now these guys have a level of familiarity with this Hyannis pitching staff. It's got to feel more comfortable in the box that they haven't seen these guys for the first time, and we're this deep into the summer.
Johnson also one of 10 Kettleers still on the roster that played on opening day. Ryan Farber digs in for a second at-bat of the game. Reached on that fielder's choice in the 1st. Before Bogenpole, the man on deck, gave Cotuit the early lead. Squares to bunt, pops it over the netting. Talk about consistency. You say the word consistency, and Ryan Farber's a guy you think of.
Yeah, he's just been there all summer for the Kettleers, and it's been really cool to see the way that these these different Cape League teams have had some guys stay here for the whole summer and make an impact.
He chops it to Jake Schaffner, goes the short way once more. McKay looking for the turn, and it's late once again. Deja vu to begin the 3rd inning. That's the 2nd time Farber's reached on a fielder's choice.
Okay, a strong throw to first. Bang, bang over there. A nice turn by the Harbor Hawks infield.
He got a second try on it, Fired the first ball high in the 1st inning, and here got it on the money to Jace Doby, but Farber legged it out. And now the big swinging Caden Bogenpole gave Cotuit the lead with one swing of the bat in the 1st inning, launched a home run over the right field billboard. Farber chugs back in. Bogenpole out of Jackson, Missouri, a native of there, rising junior at Missouri State. Alma mater of Phillies great Ryan Howard, and Caden Bogenpole broke nearly every record that Howard owned there. Standing 6'6", 240. Saw the big swing on display. Now a first pitch, and it tails inside for a first ball. Logan, go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say, looking to keep the ball on the ground because we've seen the power and his ability to get extended.
Lays off that one. Bogenpole, in 2 seasons with Missouri State, has vicariously not played a ton of top-level talent like he's facing here today, but given his stats, he's done pretty well. Chops it foul down the first base line. In 21 games, he's batted .206, but that average not indicative of what he's done at the plate. 14 hits, top 3 on this team, along with 15 RBIs, and that's, again, looped in with 18 walks.
Yeah, and it just shows what type of hitter he is. He's patient, but he also can make an impact when he swings it. Truly a 5-tool athlete, at least in the box.
Does fall subject to the plight of power hitters quite often. 24 strikeouts, second on these Kettleers. 2-1 catches for Mason Russell. And as Mitch Carricker, Max, looks for a definitive third starter, Mason Russell doing a nice job weathering the storm.
And this is kind of the crunch time of where you're trying to find who you're confident with the playoffs looming.
Bogenpole lifts it into left field, and Parker Brocious puts away a second out. Bogenpole digs that one out of the zone, Max, just a bit under it.
And Hyannis might have gotten a little bit away with one, but what he did well is keeping that on the inside part of the plate because it made it more of an inside-out swing with it slicing away, so no threat of it carrying.
We mentioned earlier that Russell likes to use those breaking pitches, slider, curveball, changeup, resting low 80s on the curveball, mid 80s on that slider, trying to induce weak contact and get outs that way. Just 3 strikeouts entering this game across his 6 appearances. He's already got a pair, but he hasn't needed it to succeed today. Jack Natilli at the plate for Cotuit. Farber thought about it. Natilli nails it into left field for a base hit. Station to station for the Kettleers, and they've sparked the 2-out rally.
Well, let's see where he wanted it on the inside part of the plate. That's where the chance is set up, and he hits his spot, so credit where it's due. Natilli golfing that pitch to left, and if you're Russell, you executed.
Now Russell will have to deal with as much damage as he has all game long. Dean West coming to the plate for a second time. Grounded out right to Russell to end the first inning. And Russell falls behind. West, a rising junior out of UCLA, California boy through and through, is a native of Woodland Hills. He's played in 3 of the 4 prior matchups against Hyannis this season as a midseason arrival to Cotuit. And Russell once again falling further behind.
And it's tough for Hyannis if they're going to fall behind, because then it really takes off certain pitches that they can use, because now he's forced to go in the zone probably a little bit over the plate, and that's where the guys can get extended and deposit one in the gap.
Russell buys a strike. Camden Johnson started off this inning with the single. He was caught at second base after Ryan Farber reached on a second consecutive fielder's choice. Caden Bogenpole hit the home run last inning but flew out here, and Natilli extended this frame with the single just moments ago. Off goes Farber at second base. Ball skips by Dayton LaChance, and there goes Natilli. It's an impromptu double steal for the Kets, a couple in scoring position. That's the very thing, Max, that has gotten Hyannis' opponents back into games.
It really has, and we'll see what the ruling is for the second one. That might be a wild pitch for Natilli reaching, but as for Farber, kind of going on first move right there.
For Farber, that's the product of 34 games of Cape League experience, and Dean West loads the bases with a 2-out walk. For Hyannis fans, Max, it's here we go again. Zanvon Schlegel tasked with extending this frame for the Kettleers. They look to regain the lead against the Harbor Hawks. Flew out his last time up. Russell's first ball catches. It's officially a steal for Farber, his 8th of the season. Natilli goes to second on the wild pitch. And now Mason Russell faced with the biggest jam of the game. He's ahead in the process.
And he's doing what he can, and that's really important because nobody wants to find themselves in these situations, but he's executing and buys 2 strikes early. Now he can go fancy with it in the 0-2 count.
0-2. Loops it just inside. And Von Schlegel has himself a first ball. Von Schlegel did play last time against Hyannis at Lowell Park. Went 2 for 5 with a single and a double. Did score a run in that game as well. And he levels it against Mason Russell here.
And during the middle weeks of July, this is where Hyannis has ran into trouble because they jump ahead 0-2 and then immediately fire 2 balls in. And now the back against the wall to the 3-ball count.
Nearly grazes von Schlegel and scoots out of the way to run the count full. As much as Hyannis has struggled with runners in scoring position, opponents have done very well against the Harbor Hawks in that category. Everyone off, and Mason Russell finds the strikeout. He strands the bases loaded, and this score stays right where it is, headed bottom 3.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Well, against all odds, Hyannis still up 3-2 over Cotuit after Mason Russell worked himself in and out of trouble, strands the bases loaded as he freezes Zan von Schlegel with the fastball. Graham Nash back in the booth with us here for the bottom of the 3rd inning. Ryan Buckler still on the bump, and Hyannis has some energy after Mason Russell's big inning.
Yeah, really big pitch there. Just caught him on the top inside corner and stranded the bases. Hyannis did that really, really well in the past couple of games, most specifically thinking against Chatham. Stranded 7. They came up 1 run short, but the pitching was still able to get out of big spots, and that really can fuel some offense.
Well, hot teams have batted pretty well against Hyannis with runners in scoring position. 273 is the highest opponent batting average with runners in scoring position in the Cape Cod Baseball League. And despite that, the Hawks lead the Cape League, or rather are second in the Cape League, with 107 strikeouts when runners are in scoring position against its pitching. Corner infielders in for Owen Prince. And Buckler finds a strike at the knees. Prince began the game with a double, advanced to 3rd on a wild pitch. Then an RBI ground out from Jeff Luigi brought him home. He's down 0-2 here. The rising senior headed back to VMI this upcoming fall. Been the everyday leadoff man for the last week. 0-2 drifts inside.
And he had success in his last at-bat because he swung right away. First pitch swinging, Owen Prince took it to left field. Here, he keeps the bat on the shoulder, and he's down.
He's got blistering speed if he can get on base. On the fast track to doing that as he levels the count. And Owen Prince coming over from the Coastal Plain League where he played with the Martinsville Mustangs. Played 35 games, stole 30 bags. Also showed consistency at the plate with a .317 average. Baltimore chopped to short. Ryan Farber backhanded field and a flashy first out to begin the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, you got to make big plays to get a speedster like Owen Prince. And he had a chance to leg this one out. But off the grass, it just kind of took a soft second hop, and it was pretty easy for Ryan Farber.
He also beats Owen Prince, which is no easy ask given his speed. He was 3rd in the NCAA in stolen bases with VMI. 46 swipes in 59 attempts. And now Jace Doby rips it to 3rd. Tough field for Camden Johnson across the diamond. It's a quick couple of outs for Ryan Buckler.
That one was a little bit more difficult. Camden Johnson didn't have his body in front of it. He had to let the ball get to him. He couldn't play it on a long hop, and he couldn't even get it on the short one. He had to play that medium distance. That's a dangerous game, but he did a really good job recovering and then threw a strike to Taggart Tyson.
Ryan Buckler's asked for his infield's help tonight. Has yet to strike out a Harbor Hawks batter, whereas Hyannis has struck out 8 or more times in each of the last 3 meetings with Cotuit. First pitch to Jeffrey Luigi. Dips beneath the Duke Blue Devils' knees. Luigi had that RBI ground out to get the scoring started for Hyannis in the first. Of course, it was Sawyer Black's 2-run homer to deep right center that broke this game open for the Harbor Hawks. And Buckler struggling to find the zone against him.
Yeah, he's gone down in this count, something that doesn't really help a pitcher out. He dealt really well to Prince, though, got ahead 0-2, and then Doby didn't really allow the count to rise on him. But going down to a guy like Luigi is a dangerous game to play.
2-0. Luigi jumps on it, slow roller to second. Luke Matthews ends the frame. 1-2-3 for Cotuit. A couple of trio of ground outs for Ryan Buckler as we head to the top of the fourth.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Through 3 full, and it's a 3-2 Hyannis lead over Cotuit. That is not a score that's been all too common for the Harbor Hawks against the Kettleers recently, where they've lost the last 3 games by 7 or more runs. Cotuit getting back to its winning ways against Hyannis, though, in that bottom of the third, facing the minimum for the 17th time in 37 innings against the Harbor Hawks.
The defense has worked so quickly. The pitching has been phenomenal every time, just giving Hyannis pitches that it thinks it can swing at, and then when it does, it's just weak ground balls or pop flies. There haven't been many hard-hit baseballs for Hyannis as of late. Very few extra base hits over the course of the season-long series, and as a result, Cotuit's really led them.
Well, Cotuit has seen the ball very well against Hyannis, entering the game 37 hits in the last 3 games, 30 runs, a couple of run rule victories, and Hyannis, to that point, Graham, has just 14 hits across that stretch with 2 runs and has utterly failed to see the ball well.
Yeah, it's just been kind of lucky to come by for the Harbor Hawks, or at least it's felt like that when they've gotten the opportunities. Just not where they want to be, and the season is really coming to a close quickly. They have to find ways to win ball games, and sometimes it isn't all too pretty.
Hyannis won that first game against Cotuit on June 21st, but that was off 2 home runs from the now departed Chris Rembert. Nolan Stevens begins the fourth. He launches the ball into center field. Prince racing back. He watches it dunk at the base of the wall. Stevens headed for second base. And it's a first pitch double to begin the fourth.
Well, here's a guy who's just hot right now against the Harbor Hawks. A single and a double to begin his ball game. He's got a really nice swing and has really helped Cotuit in the bottom half of the order. Just give a little bit more life.
Nolan Stevens halfway to the cycle after a single in the second inning. He leads off the fourth with a double, and Mitch Carricker will make the call to the bullpen and end of the day for Mason Russell. Allowed that home run to Caden Bogenpole, but cleaned it up after that. We'll have a new pitcher on the bump for the Harbor Hawks after this.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory. Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
A new righty hurler atop the bump for Mitch Carricker. It was a lefty and Mason Russell that started things off, and now the Oregon State Beaver, Zach Edwards, takes his spot.
Zach Edwards coming off a very recent appearance against Chatham. He pitched 3 days ago, went for 3 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, struck out 4. He was really pitching well. Only threw 36 pitches over the course of the 3 innings. He dealt quickly, he was efficient, but he did pitch 3 days ago, so going to be interesting to see how quickly he comes out with some of that heat. He's got a really good fastball, pairs it with a good breaking ball and a change, but man, feels pretty recent for Zach Edwards to be getting an appearance on the bump.
Last appeared 3 days ago on the 26th against Chatham. Stretched 3 innings with 4 strikeouts, so put together a good outing. Just you wonder what factor fatigue will play as he comes into a key spot here. Nolan Stevens is on second after a first pitch double against Mason Russell. That'd be the last batter the Arizona Wildcat would face. And for Zach Edwards, in now what is an 8th appearance of the summer, he has a golden opportunity to let that velocity stretch as far as he can go.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to let him go as long as he can, but he's coming into a tough scenario, obviously, with a runner over on second base and no outs in the inning. He's got to clean up a little bit of the work that Mason Russell left him and try to be efficient. That's the hardest thing right now with no force out. He can't get a double play. He can't get 2 quick outs. He's starting from scratch with a runner over on second base that he's got to keep an eye on.
Fastball sitting 95-97. It's peaked at 98 this season. He also throws in a slider and a changeup, both sitting mid-80s. First batter he sees is Luke Matthews with a man in scoring position. Jumps on the first pitch, flares it into right field. Long run for Sawyer Black as he watches it bounce foul. For Zach Edwards, jumping ahead of batters is early. Jumping ahead of batters early is important. 4 of his appearances at Oregon State went 2 innings. He's got 3 such appearances here on the Cape. And now looking to stretch for a 4th. Walked just 9 of the 83 batters he faced in the 18 games he pitched for the Beavers. Just 10%. Squaring to bunt, Luke Matthews gets outside of it, and now they've nearly got Stevens in a rundown. Throw to third is late. His defense for Hyannis asleep as Nolan Stevens catches him.
Stevens was just very far between second and third, and he hesitated. And a mistake from LaChance going over to Charlie Bates, the shortstop who was covering second, instead of going to Schaffner at third. Now a tying run is 90 feet away.
Matthews is down 0-2, though, for Zach Edwards. Brings the heat, chops it to third. Schaffner goes to the plate. They've got Stevens in a rundown. LaChance back to Schaffner. Stevens has got a path. Edwards covering the bag, and he gives up. And that allows Luke Matthews to take his spot at second base. But it is the first out of the inning.
Just really, really smart and solid base running from Stevens, not allowing Dayton LaChance to get him immediately so that Luke Matthews could get over into scoring position. That's just smart baseball and really, really good teammate.
And also a great play at third from Jake Schaffner to open up the save of the run there. Taggart Tyson looking to flip the order with Luke Matthews on second base. First baseman grounded out to begin his day in the bottom of the second, or in the top of the second, rather. Infield shifting him to pull. Awkward swing as he stabs at the breaking ball from Edwards. So Matthews reaches on that fielder's choice, and then they get Stevens in the rundown, in which Matthews advances to second. Swing and a miss. And Edwards is humming with that breaking ball.
He's got Taggart Tyson all over the place. The slider is absolutely destroying him right now, just right underneath his bat. It starts in the center of the zone, thinks it's going to stay true, and then at the last moment, it just bends away.
Among the harder throwing hurlers in the bullpen for Hyannis. He brings out the heat there, and Tyson fans and misses. Dayton LaChance completes the out, and it keeps Luke Matthews at second. Strikeout number 4 for Hyannis pitching, the first for Zach Edwards.
And that is exactly why Zach Edwards is so important for the Hyannis bullpen. One of the best pitchers, and he works so efficiently. Over the course of the season, he's found the zone on 65% of his pitches. Right now, he's 6 for 6. 6 pitches, 6 strikes.
Camden Johnson will flip the order for a third time in this game. And back-to-back frames as he comes to the plate. Comes off a single in the third. It was then fired out in a fielder's choice. Edwards skips it into LaChance. Off goes Matthews. The throw sails Schaffner and bounces into left field. Luke Matthews trots across home plate, and a mistake from Dayton LaChance has brought Cotuit level.
Free chances have been killing Hyannis, and there's none more free than this. He just sails it.
I thought he was 10 feet tall. Probably needed a jump with that as well. What on earth? Now Camden Johnson will play with a tie game. He's reached base twice, dropped third strike, and Dayton LaChance failed to complete the out. Then thrown out both times along the base paths. Tips a strike into the mitt to level the count. And that run goes on Mason Russell's register. Or rather, no, it'll be for Zach Edwards as Russell gets out of the outing with just 2 runs earned, both the one that he allowed. This one flared by the mound. Charlie Bates collects and fires to first in time for the out, but not before Cotuit levels the game at 3, headed to the bottom of the 4th. It's another close one. It seems like a long time for that between these two teams, as Hyannis has been in a couple close games recently. We show you some stats between these two rivals in the Battle of Barnstable. Cotuit has laid down the law against Hyannis each of the last 3 games, and now they're tied up in a close game.
And it's largely been because of that ERA that you see, that difference nearly at a full run. Cotuit right now 3rd in the Cape League in that category. And Hyannis not making up for it all that much with their average. Of course, the Harbor Hawks were at one point the best batting team in the Cape League. They're now sitting around top 3rd, but it hasn't been as consistent as it was in the early parts of July and really in June. It was unbelievable how consistent and how powerful the bats are. Now it comes in spurts, it comes in streaks. We see a couple games where the bats look very strong, but it's been hard for the Hawks to get that consistently again.
Perhaps the biggest anomaly of the recent weeks for Hyannis, that 12-0 win against Bourne here a couple of days ago. Dayton LaChance had himself a night, 4 for 4 with 3 doubles in that run rule win for Hyannis. Starts off the 4th as he takes a ball 1 from Ryan Buckler. Buckler pitching into the 4th, as did Mason Russell, the starter for Hyannis. Faced just 1 batter, didn't record an out, and Zach Edwards came in his place. And Buckler levels the count against LaChance.
LeChance, a guy that's really trying to refine a fire, went 0 for 4 against Chatham after a stretch where he got 5 hits over 11 chances at the plate.
Buckler with great location on that breaker. And Dayton LeChance, or at least for Mitch Carricker, he's trying to get him to be an effective hitter while also catching. The numbers between catching and DH are widely different for the incoming Oklahoma Sooner. Rips it softly to shortstop, and Ryan Farber fires out number 1. LeChance entered the game 2 of 14 at the plate when catching with just 2 singles and a couple strikeouts. Oddly enough, he struck out more as a DH, but he enters the game 5 of 13 for a .385 average.
Yeah, with 3 RBIs as a DH. Sometimes these guys, when they DH versus playing their position, can just focus fully on hitting, give all of their effort to being at the plate and not have to think too much about what goes on in the infield.
Ryan McKay lifts it into right field, but Nolan Stevens is there for out number 2.
We saw that be true yesterday for Ryan McKay. After a really tough stretch playing second base and batting, he finally started to find a little bit of momentum. Went 1 for 3 against Wareham and drew a walk. Sometimes that's all these guys need, is a little bit of a break from playing their position so they can just focus on their routine and their approach at the plate.
And LeChance put together a remarkable season for McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. 66 games, average at .380 with 21 home runs. And Buckler fires a first pitch ball to Jake Schaffner.
Schaffner, another guy that's kind of caught a little bit of a hot streak. He's on a 2-game hit streak, and that includes a pinch-hitting performance against Wareham 2 days ago. That can be the toughest spot to come in and produce, and he did just that.
Schaffner's played in all 3 games these teams, or rather in all 3 of the 4 meetings entering tonight. Doesn't have a hit in a couple of them. That's to go along with just a few hitless performances this year. For instance, not having an 0 for performance in the month of June. Incoming Tar Heel out of North Dakota State. And Buckler finds a first strike.
And his 2-game hitless streak that he had just 4 games ago was the first time that he's had a 2-game hitless streak since returning from injury. He was phenomenal, has been phenomenal in July, and that's still true.
Cuts and misses at a breaking ball from Buckler. Missed 8 games with that wrist injury he suffered upon being hit by a pitch at Falmouth on June 24th. Not something we see all too often, Graham, for a guy to come back after that happens, especially when he was in the transfer portal. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ryan Buckler faces the minimum in back-to-back innings. Head to the top of the 5th in a tie game here in Hyannis.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.
If you need to dig, lift, move, grade, clear, or cut, pump, weld, clean, light, and just about anything else, dial up the rental source for the newest and the most reliable equipment in New England. Staffed with equipment and construction experts, Milton Rents, your local source.
It's a barn burner in the Battle of Barnstable. A 3-3 ball game headed to the 5th at McKeon Park. Cotuit facing the minimum for the back-to-back frames, and Cotuit has done a remarkable job of doing just that in a couple of blowout wins over Hyannis.
Yeah, the Kettleers just made quick work of Hyannis. Over the past couple of games, like you said, it's been a lot of ground balls, a lot of swings, but very little hits for the Harbor Hawks. Very little extra base hits for them as well. Lots of ground balls, lots of pop flies, and as a result, it's led to a lot of Cotuit wins.
Well, the Kettleers faced the minimum against Hyannis 44% of the time coming into the game. 16 of the 36th innings have been 1-2-3 for Cotuit. And Ryan Buckler's got himself a couple in a row As we head to the top of the 5th, Ryan Farber leads off the frame for Cotuit. Guy that's played in every game for the Kettleers this summer. He's reached base a pair of times tonight on fielder's choices. Also stole a base in the 3rd inning.
And he's gotten better game by game against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Didn't get a hit the first time they played.
Rips it into right field, and the streak stays alive for Ryan Farber. And all that experience this summer showing tonight.
Yeah, he backed up a pretty poor performance the first time playing against Hyannis with a 1-for-3 performance in Game 2 and 2-for-4 in Game 3. That's just what he's good at. He's good at picking a part of the yard and putting the ball there. He's not necessarily a big power hitter guy, but he's a placement guy. He can send it to all parts of the yard and is just really a good piece for Cotuit.
A threat to steal as he has in this game, and just is so effective. Caden Bogenpole, broken bat flare to second. McKay to Bates, and the stretch from Doby in time to turn the double play. 3rd try at turning 2 for Ryan McKay, and this time they complete it.
Well, they say the 3rd time's a charm. The past couple times, it was pretty bang-bang. Ryan McKay just couldn't quite get it there. This time, Ryan McKay the one tossing to Bates. And what a strike from Charlie Bates. He played some shortstop, especially throughout his young career. At Stanford didn't get as many chances, but he said to me that he wants to get back there. He wants to play more shortstop, and plays like this are going to help his case for doing just that.
4-6-3 for the first 2 outs of the 5th, and Jack Natilli will try to spark a 2-out rally as he did in that 3rd inning. Of course, Cotuit brought across a run on that was the inning where they stranded the bases loaded. Thinking of last inning where Dayton LaChance fired a ball over the head of Jake Schaffner at 3rd to tie the game at 3. Mason Russell, in what was perhaps his best inning of work this season, stranded the bases loaded, in which Natilli fired a single and got to 2nd. Dodges out of the way of the heater from Zach Edwards. Wouldn't want to be plunked by that. He sits 95-97 on the fastball.
Yeah, that'd be painful, especially right on the shoulder where there's not a lot of protection.
Comes at a different speed as we've seen a couple times this season. 2-1. Sliced foul. And for Jack Natilli comes an opportunity as one of the guys that's played in a ton of games for Cotuit this year. He's earned himself Cape League Player of the Week as an all-star for the Kettleers this season. And he'll be among the players for Cotuit trying to battle with Hyannis, Bourne, the likes of these West Division teams that are just so close together.
He did pretty well against Hyannis the past couple of games as well. A couple of RBIs for him. So not only has he been pretty big for this team, but he's been big against these Hawks, which is exactly what they need right now. Despite doubling Hyannis in hits, Cotuit hasn't crossed home any runs.
Launches the full count payoff into right field. Sawyer Black makes out number 3 in foul territory. That ends the 5th inning with a tie still remaining between Hyannis and Cotuit. And Ethan Wax has more from the sideline.
Thanks, Gio. With just 6 games remaining in the regular season and the Harbor Hawks opening up to a 4-point lead over plunging Falmouth, while also holding the tiebreaker if the teams finish deadlock at season end, it is not too early for the teams to be focused on the opening round best-of-3 playoff series that begins August 5th. So will manager Mitch Carricker give the ball to start Game 1. While the league has changed the format from last year, where Round 1 was a single elimination game, winning the opening game in the series will give the Hawks a decisive edge. The best starting pitcher on the active roster has been Nebraska right-hander hurler Carson Yassa, who sports a 2.96 ERA and leads the Hawks with 5 starting appearances. Yassa started the season making 3 appearances out of the bullpen, but has been a mainstay in the rotation since making his first start at the end of June. He just pitched on Thursday and is scheduled to start tomorrow night on 6 days rest. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Ethan. It'd certainly be an interesting rotation for Mitch Carricker. Doesn't have all the guys he'd probably like to, but you could say that for the entire Cape League as we welcome Max Schwartzberg into the booth for the final 4.5 innings of play-by-play. You heard Carson Yassa and Max Stammel mentioned Max, but a couple of guys in recent games have put their bids forth to be that third guy.
Yeah, and Max Stammel's a prime example of that, especially after that start against Bourne. He's looked like a kind of different animal for Mitch Carricker. And it's that part of the summer where he's trying to see what he can get from any of his guys. And if they're going to give you outings like that, he's going to have good options.
Mason Russell put his bid in tonight in appearance number 7 and start number 1. Line finalized at 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, and 3 strikeouts. Parker Brocious takes a first pitch outside as Ryan Buckler looks to do just that for Cotuit. Stretching into the 5th inning for a second consecutive start, a native of Barnstable. Went 5 innings last time out against Falmouth when he started on the 22nd. Did allow 2 runs and 6 hits, but struck out 4 and got the win, which was his 3rd of the season. He's behind 3-0 to Parker Brocious.
And we come back to the free passes if it's an opportunity, because Cotuit is a team that has not given Hyannis anything for free all summer. So if they're able to work a walk here, they got to make it work.
And Buckler does find a first strike of the count. Cotuit not only hasn't given Hyannis anything, they've taken as much as possible from the pitching staff for the Harbor Hawks, entering the night with 37 hits and 30 runs across 3 games. And Brocious runs the count full. Ball flies out of play. With the results tonight, of course, still a lot of baseball left to play here at McKeon Park. You can up that total to 33 runs with 43 hits, including another home run from Caden Bogenpole, his 2nd against Hyannis this year. 3-2 payoff. Floats inside, and Parker Brocious rung up. Ryan Buckler with back-to-back Ks. This one very well done.
Well, he went with the front door breaking ball, and that is not an easy pitch to face, especially if you consider the arm action. It's starting from kind of your ear, and it goes right on the inside part of the plate.
Buckler's faced the minimum in each of his last 2 frames, only picked up a first strikeout to end the 4th inning. And has since retired the next 7 batters he's faced. Loops a first pitch breaking ball to Sawyer Black, who changed the complexion of this game for Hyannis with 1 swing of the bat in the bottom of the 2nd. He absolutely launched a 2-run blast into straightaway right center field. 403 off the bat. Can't think of too many other 400-foot home runs for Hyannis this year.
Well, I think of maybe 1 or 2. Andrew Williamson took one out to right center field in his very last game of the season. That was actually 429. Besides that, even to that right center field area, we've seen a lot of them cut by the light pole. You know, Chris Rembert's gone opposite field. Hayden Federico's first home run was there, but it's just that Williamson one that sticks out, along with Sawyer Black, is what we just saw.
Torches this into shallow right. Matthews comes over to make a 2nd out. And you bring up some players that are no longer here for Hyannis, and Chris Rembert and Andrew Williamson. And this is the part of the summer where teams are finding their identities, Max. But Hyannis, with all the early departures, has had time to do that a bit earlier. As we see the Who's That Harbor Hawk answer. Again, I've never heard of this guy.
I don't know who that is either, unfortunately. We apologize,
Here's
Mangum.
the thing. If you're stumped, Max, that says something about the difficulty of this one.
I've hit unk status on my MLB knowledge.
Charlie Bates scoots out of the way of a first offering from Ryan Buckler. An out away from stretching 5 innings in back-to-back starts. And to continue that conversation about how Hyannis has meshed, at least recently, with the players it'll have for the rest of the season, Max. That's the benefit of all that roster flux when it happened for Hyannis.
And it brings guys closer because the team chemistry is who's been here. That has a lot of power and magnitude, like Charlie Bates, a guy. And, you know, Jake Schaffner, a lot of guys in this lineup have been here since early.
Since July 7th, more than 20 new players have joined the roster as Charlie Bates drowns this past the first baseman, Taggart Tyson, and reaches. Tyson nearly ended the inning with the backhand. Instead, Bates has himself a single.
Well, they teach you to go down to up on the infield. That's a classic case of up to down. He did not have his glove on the ground, and he paid the consequence, Taggart Tyson, at first.
Tyson made 18 starts at catcher this past spring at Louisville. He started the majority of his games for Cotuit this year behind the plate, just making a second start over at first for Lauren Hibbs. And now, pitching coach for Cotuit going to meet with Ryan Buckler.
And this is an important inning for Buckler because now he's 67 pitches deep. He's absolutely dealing. And then you have something like that which will either go down as a hit or a single, but no matter what, all it does is just take you out of your rhythm. And maybe this is a little mound visit to get him back to his feeling because he was dealing.
Given that that's just the fourth hit here in the fifth inning and we're deadlocked in a 3-3 tie, Hyannis not going to, or rather, Brian Buckler going to likely be able to finish this game as that's an error coming on Taggart Tyson.
Well, I believe that they're going to give him the leeway, and yep, they will, to at least finish this inning. But, I mean, and also you think about it, this is the time of the summer where they're going to let guys go. We're on game 35.
But with that said, there hasn't been a roster move for Hyannis in 6 days, and that doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of the summer, but when a 40-game season where since July 7th there has been a flurry of roster moves, that's a model of consistency for Hyannis at this point. And it's showing in the recent stretch of play. Hawks winners in 2 of the last 3, both in eerily close margins. Owen Prince takes a first pitch strike from Ryan Buckler. Of course, this Hyannis team exploded for 12 runs against Bourne. The last 2 have been 1-run games, with a loss to Chatham here on the 26th, and then a win over Wareham this past Sunday, 2-1. Prince flipping the order for a 3rd time. That one dips beneath his knees as Natilli springs out of his crouch. Charlie Bates on first after the error against Taggart Tyson. His first error of the game for the Kettleers to go along with 1 for the Harbor Hawks. And Owen Prince, Max, for a player of his caliber, he's of course among these new additions we've been talking about. Feels surprising to get a player that's performing this well at this point in the season.
Well, he's truly a hit machine, and you combine that with his speed, he pays such an impact for Mitch Carricker.
Jumps on the 1-2. A mitt goes flying in the air, but a dive from Matthews not in time as Prince with his speed easily beats that out. Some kind of effort from Ryan Buckler to throw off the path of that ball with his glove.
I mean, why not? You know, you got nothing to lose, right? But, I mean, case in point, what we're saying, Owen Prince, he's got to leap bat the ball and just putting it in play. We see his speed on display, as that might be the day. Wow, that really rhymed.
A new pitcher indeed coming in for the Kettleers. That's the end of the day for Ryan Buckler. It stretches into the 5th inning, but somewhat of an odd play will end it for Buckler. We'll meet the new pitcher after this.
You can make any bat feel lighter by adding a velo puck knob. Instead of having to go get a whole entirely new bat, you can simply add the puck to it. Players can use this with any bat. It's basically going to shift the weight of the bat a little bit more towards the hands. Players are able to hit the ball a lot harder just by simply adding the puck on.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
Two on and 2 out for Hyannis in the bottom of the 5th, and Ryan Buckler's day is done. He'll give way to another righty that has faced Hyannis before this season. It's the Arizona State Sun Devil, Wyatt Halverson.
And he has been lights out for the Cats this year. A 2.19 earned run average in 24 2/3 innings pitched. He's been Lauren Hibbs' go-to guy all summer long, and as we mentioned, this is the time of summer when the identity of a team has been pretty well established. And the identity of their bullpen is headlined by a guy like Halverson, who we saw last week against the Harbor Hawks. They know what they're going to get. They're going to get a guy staying in the strike zone who's dominant.
Well, Halverson came in on the 24th in relief of, once again, the starter. In each of the last 2 games, well, both wins for Cotuit over Hyannis, they've used just 2 arms, and Halverson delivered 4 innings with, or rather stretched 3 innings with 6 strikeouts and just 1 hit with no runs allowed.
Yeah, and that all stems from his ability to stay in the strike zone. I know we keep coming back to this, but it really puts you on a different level of playing field, because if you're able to execute your pitches, not only does it take the risk of running to a high ball count, but it allows you to execute the more difficult pitches with favorable hitters count or pitchers counts. And against Hyannis and it's a guy like Jace Doby, you're going to need to jump ahead because he's a guy who can kind of pop at any moment. We've seen him have a 4-hit performance in his first game for the Harbor Hawks. He can make an impact.
Leads qualified Cotuit Kettleers in ERA this season, 2.19 across 24 2/3. He really is Lauren Hibbs' go-to guy in a spot like this. 2 on, 2 out for Jace Doby. Rips it right back up the mound. Luke Matthews clutches and ends the frame. Wyatt Halverson needs just 1 pitch to bring the 5th to an end. These teams still tie headed to the 6th.
At the Mass State Lottery, we know there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. Now that's how we all win. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
This week we've been working a lot with doing play-by-plays, just doing behind-the-scenes stuff with sports broadcasting, which I never really realized how much went into it, but it's been really cool.
They've grown a lot. I've never really done like a program like this before, so like seeing all the behind-the-scenes has like really grown.
I've learned how to really just gain confidence in my play-by-play speaking, and I've learned more terms here when it comes to directing and producing. And I've just had a great time with John Rook.
Doing the play-by-play stuff and all that, being with a guy like John Rook, understanding what like the major kind of entails doing this camp, just really a preview for what you do here at Dean or any other college doing broadcasting. So I'm definitely more prepared to make this a job of mine.
Hey Harbor Hawks fans, did you know the NAC Cape Cod is the official Light Up the Park sponsor of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks all season long? Thanks to the NAC, the lights at McKeon Park stay bright all summer as the future stars take the field. With 2 convenient locations in Orleans and in Hyannis, the NAC is the perfect spot for a burger, taco, sandwich, and much more. Visit the NAC Cape Cod to learn more or order online today. Zach Edwards still in the game for Hyannis, relieving Mason Russell after 3 innings, and the Oregon State Beaver is in a groove, Max.
He really is, and he's been in a groove all summer, and he's at his best when he's firing in first pitch strikes, and that's what he did in that last inning of work, going with that quick and easy minimum faced after the double play, and even when he does have some pressure applied on him, he's able to get right back into it.
Edwards with a commanding fastball that clocks in at 95-97. It's peaked at 98 this year, but also mixes in breaking balls in the mid-80s, slider and a changeup. Dean West leads off the 6th for Cotuit, and Edwards falls behind immediately. West, the left fielder out of UCLA. Rising junior's a California boy through and through as a native of Woodland Hills. West has reached on a walk in the 3rd inning. We're stranded after Mason Russell loaded the bases, got out of it with a strikeout of Zanvon Schlegel, who waits on deck, but grounded out to begin the game. And Edwards can't find the zone.
Yeah, and it's only 3 out, but this is a really important pitch right here because you never want to walk the leadoff man, especially when Edwards is a guy who knows he has command over the strike zone.
Only 4 walks this season for Edwards, and he at least delays what would be a 5th here. (3-1). Right on the corner to run the count full.
Doubled up on the fastball in the outer half. If he's comfortable with it, why not?
Edwards top 5 on the Hawks in whip, 1.05. And West slashes this into left field, right to Parker Brocious for out number 1.
And this is why Edwards has been so dominant, because when he does fall behind, he stays cool, calm, and collected. He fires in 2 strikes, goes back to a 3rd consecutive fastball in the outer half, and a nice swing from Dean West, but it's just right at Brocious in left field, and that's all you can do. And as Mitch Carricker said, when a team beats the Harbor Hawks, especially after that Cotuit game.
Zanvon Schlegel thought about the swing. Instead lays off for ball 1.
He wants to make sure it's because the opponents are simply beating them. Nothing for free. Right there, case in point, but he got the out anyways.
Hyannis has played the last 2 games against Cotuit at Lowell Park. In the first of those, Max, Cotuit unleashed 17 hits on Hyannis, most in a Cape League game this season. And for Cotuit in that game, Mitch Carricker just only described it as Cotuit beating them flat out. A 4-pitch walk for Zan von Schlegel after the strikeout ended the 3rd.
And it makes sense because, at least when we talk to Coach Carricker after the games, it seems like especially after a loss, if it's one that they kind of gave away, that's when he's most frustrated. And that's when any type of coach would be, because you can't really do anything about the other team simply beating you. You execute your pitches, they make even better swings. In a situation like Hyannis in July, that has not always been the case. A lot of times they've just been giving it to their opponents, and at least it seems like in this last week that has kind of changed a bit.
Free passes have certainly been a problem all season long. During the 5-game skid, tying the longest mark in the Cape League, as a first pitch locates to Nolan Stevens, who's got a couple of hits and as many at-bats tonight. There were 10 free passes 3 games in a row during the 5 that they lost. Last night against Wareham, just 6, to go along with 2 errors, which is higher than average. Stevens with a single and a double in tonight's game. Led off the 4th inning with that double before he was thrown out in a rundown by Dayton LaChance and Jake Schaffner. Stevens headed to Oklahoma out of Mississippi State. He'll join Hyannis Harbor Hawks headed to Norman in Dayton LaChance and Miles Davis. And also joining former Harbor Hawk Jackson Willits and Jason Walk, who have been at Oklahoma their entire careers. For Edwards, this has the chance to be among the more longer outings that he's had this season. He would go 3 innings if he's able to stretch for the 2nd consecutive appearance, but also one with some of the most damage. Gets by Dayton LaChance, and Zan von Schlegel takes second easily.
It seems like during this inning, or this half inning, Edwards just doesn't have command over the heater consistently. He wants it on the outside corner, and that's a miss not only down on the inside part of the plate, so way off from Edwards there. He just kind of lost the command.
Edwards, a native of Riverton, Utah, only a rising sophomore. One of a couple youngsters at big programs that are due for larger roles. 2-2 and a fastball. Fans the second out of the inning. It's also a second strikeout for Zach Edwards in this appearance.
Yeah, it is, and it looked really good. He kind of challenged him right there, at least over the middle of the plate. And that's what's most important, that he has the confidence to go right after guys, especially when he has a couple wild pitches in there.
Now with that confidence back up, here comes Luke Matthews. Reached on an error and scored a run last time in the 4th. That followed up Nolan Stevens' double, who just struck out. First pitch merely hits him. And for Edwards, it's the heater that's worked, Max, with the breaking balls coming in as some of the more difficult pitches for him tonight.
Especially those front door breaking balls to right-handed hitters.
Deuces the swing and miss there. Edwards has only walked 1 tonight. It goes along with just 4 this season to make it 5 total, but that would put him just 4 shy of his season total at Oregon State in 16 games when he's now pitching in game number 8. He's a strike away from getting out of the 6th.
Yeah, and he's going right after hitters now. And he has to have confidence at an all-time high because, yes, he struggled to find the strike zone in this inning, but it seems like as the counts progress, he finds better command of his pitches.
Von Schlegel's the go-ahead run. He's at second. Matthews trying to keep the inning alive, and he cues it foul.
There's a slider, and he has him out ahead right off the end of the bat. Maybe he'll play off that.
Just early warm-ups in both pens for Hyannis and Cotuit. Edwards' game, or inning to finish for sure. Steps off momentarily. Pitch clock was low at 8. Now he resets. Matthews at the plate. Von Schlegel on second. 1-2. Sails high to level the count. For Hyannis, this game is incredibly significant given the slate that approaches them in this final week of the season. 3 West Division opponents in a row, beginning with Cotuit tonight. 2-2, tapped softly into right. Jace Doby comes over to cover and end the frame. To the bottom of the 6th we go here at McKeon Park. Team still tied at 3.
Owning a home means you can protect your family and put down roots in a community you care about. It gives you a place to celebrate the joys of daily living and be together during tough times. But for many on Cape Cod, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. Help make sure the American dream is available to the teachers, public safety professionals, and all the other people who make the Cape a special place. Visit capehousingmatters.org to find out more.
Bottom 6 at McKeon Park, still square at 3. Hyannis and Cotuit facing for a 5th time this season, and Wyatt Halverson came into the game last inning for Ryan Buckler. Only needed 1 pitch to escape the bottom of the 5th and keep a Hyannis squad that's clawed back from a couple of deficits in this game at bay. And Halverson's been a big reason why Hyannis has struggled against Cotuit this year.
And he's been Lauren Hibbs' bread and butter, not only against the Harbor Hawks, but against opponents this season. And let's not forget, this is a Cotuit team that, while they have kind of thrashed Hyannis offensively, they're largely known for their defense. Their pitching is one of the stronger parts of their game.
Halverson leads qualified Cotuit Kettleers in ERA with 2.19. 24 2/3 innings for Lauren Hibbs this year. He really has been the first-year Cotuit manager's go-to as the stretch man in the middle innings. 3, 4, and 5 due up for Hyannis to begin the 6th. And Jeff Luigi, with a couple of ground outs today, does have an RBI. He continues to be a model of consistency. The average in this game, as you see there, has dipped to 303, coming into the day at 313. Held hitless in his last 2. Luigi didn't get a lot of run in his first year at Duke, so for the rising sophomore, this is a first opportunity to play with the best of the best on a consistent basis. Swings through the 1-0 offering from Halverson.
And he's taken this opportunity to see these types of arms and run with it. He has been excellent all summer, as we mentioned, a late all-star ad and just limited playing time, and he's just made such an impact for Hyannis.
Replaced Jackson Willits, who was the intended starting shortstop. And breaking ball floats outside. Worked 10 walks this season, good for 2nd among active players. Trailing just, or 3rd rather, just trailing Jake Schaffner and Ryan McKay. Hasn't been the area where he's impressed the most, though. Went on a 6-game hit streak during the middle of his tenure. And for Luigi, the last 2 performances, as we mentioned, have gone hitless. Yet it's not like he hasn't been effective. He worked 3 walks in a win over Wareham on Sunday. And he works 1 here to begin the 6th. Now it's Dayton LaChance due up for Hyannis. 6'4", 240, rising junior, headed to Oklahoma to join his former teammates Jackson Willits, former Harbor Hawks Jackson Willits and Jason Walk. Going over with his fellow former JUCO player Miles Davis, not in the lineup tonight for Hyannis. LaChance for playing catcher now for the 5th time this season. Mitch Carricker has wanted him to develop into the power hitter, and he's showed flashes of that powerful bat he had at McLennan Junior College. Slashes this to third. Johnson to second, over to first. Matthews in time for the twin killing.
That's a really good turn for the Kettleers, and that's a pitch that honestly got caught a lot of the plate. They're kind of lucky that LaChance didn't elevate there because I was belt high on that hanging breaking ball. He hit it hard, but just right at Johnson.
Maybe a shade inside, and LaChance could have gotten under it, as we've seen so many times this year. He's gotten close to a couple of home runs, as he did on the 26th against Chatham. Came up in the 9th and flew out to end the game, just a few feet shy of the walk-off home run. Ryan McKay takes a first pitch strike on the outside corner. He's 1 for 2 tonight with a single, a run scored, and a stolen base after he led off the second. 0-1. Loops away to level the count. Well, McKay's another player like Luigi, where we mentioned that the slow stretch is so jarring because of how good they've been at points this season.
McKay at one point had a .390 batting average, second on the Cape, behind Josiah Ragsdale.
Worked a 9-game hit streak during that time, and he picks up a second hit of the game here. Makes the turn for second. Stevens cuts it off, and the throw just barely late. Ryan McKay with a 2-out double to keep the 6 going.
Well, that's what you call a hustle double. Didn't have a lot of time, and a nice job by Stevens and Wright. And how about this pick from Ryan Farber? Look at him whip that right to McKay, but he's able to just sneak in.
2 mainstays back-to-back in the lineup for Mitch Carricker. One of them's on second base, and Ryan McKay after that double. And Jake Schaffner comes to the plate. Another day 1 Harbor Hawk, along with his counterpart on second base. 0 for 2 tonight with a strikeout in the 4th. Takes low and inside from Wyatt Halverson. For Jake Schaffner, recent weeks have favored him. He's got only 2 games since July 16th without a hit. And that's on the line tonight as he picked up a single in his 1 at-bat against Wareham. Schaffner, a rising junior, headed to North Carolina from North Dakota State. Native of the Midwest out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Among the better shortstops in the nation, as he was a semifinalist for the Brooks Wallace Award. Jumps ahead 3-0 on Wyatt Halverson.
And all of a sudden, Hyannis putting some pressure on Halverson, who hasn't dealt with a lot of that this season. And of course, he can cut his losses and just put Schaffner on first base, but it doesn't get any easier with a powerful end of the lineup. Brocious and then Black in the hole, who hit the homer.
3-0. Just catches the knees of Schaffner. 5 extra base hits since Schaffner returned from injury. Coming back after missing 8 games with a wrist injury after he was hit at Falmouth on the 24th. And Wyatt Halverson runs the count full against him.
With that outside part of the plate, we saw one of McKay that he didn't like. And it looks like Halverson's starting to get the memo. He's really going back out there to the lefties.
Extra base hit here could bring in the go-ahead run. It's Ryan McKay on second, dancing towards third. And cued foul to the backstop. Parker Brocious stands on deck. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout tonight. But Sawyer Black's in the hole with that 2-run home run in the second. This is the second 2-out rally of the game after Cotuit tied the game with 1 in the 4th inning. Full count payoff. Sails high, and Schaffner works a walk. And now an opportunity for Parker Brocious.
And we've talked a lot this season about the big hit. Hyannis, over the past couple weeks, they've been getting that a little bit more. Of course, that Bourne game back here at home, what stuck out, they had a couple in that inning, including this guy at the plate, Brocious, a bases-clearing single. But over the last couple games, it's been the free passes they've jumped ahead on. Now they can manufacture a run, and of course, an opportunity here after McKay getting on the hard way with the double and then Schaffner, then the walk.
Brief mound visit between Jack Natilli and Wyatt Halverson. And two of the guys on base for Hyannis in this frame, and Ryan McKay and Jake Schaffner, 3 of the 9 in the lineup tonight that have played in over 20 games for Hyannis this season. Charlie Bates has played in 26, second on the team behind the man on second, Ryan McKay, who's playing in game 30 tonight. And that level of consistency, at least on the roster, just something that hasn't been around for Hyannis this season. But with the guy at the plate, Parker Brocious, Max, Hyannis does have someone with Cape League experience, as he played 8 games here last summer.
And he was good in those 8 games before the summer ended early with that injury.
Brocious told us he's got unfinished business on Cape Cod after he slammed into one of the foul poles and injured his shoulder. Rising senior at Georgia Tech didn't quite have the season he hoped for with the Yellow Jackets, but still led the team in a couple of categories. Second on the Jackets in steals as well. Among the more popular faces around the Hyannis dugout from the minute he arrived this year, because that's exactly what he was last year for Hyannis, as another early mainstay of Carricker's first year at the helm. Can he keep the 6th inning going? 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Wyatt Halverson strands a pair, headed to the 7th, all tied up in the Battle of Barnstable. Oh, and we'll continue this inning with Ava Fernandez, who's got more down by the field.
Ava Fernandez reporting from the third baseline, and I'm here to talk about our hitters and the pitcher of the week. Our hitter of the week, Dayton LaChance, had a .316 batting average, and he had 6 hits, 5 RBIs, and 2 doubles. He was great at that, and Dayton definitely knows how to keep the bases if they are loaded. He knows exactly how to get the runs in, and he knows exactly where to put the ball so that the Harbor Hawks could get an earned run in those stressful moments where we needed them last week. Our pitcher of the week, Max Stammel from Virginia, had 5 hits allowed, 0 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. He emphasizes on coming out on the mound. One of our pitching coaches, Blaze Martinez, emphasizes on making sure that these pitchers come out here and really just have energy. They go through a rotation every single week in the bullpen, making sure that these pitchers are coming out to give 100%, which is exactly what Max Stammel did on the mound. Dayton and Max, thank you so much for a great week, and congratulations for being this week's Harbor Hawks Hitter of the Week. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ava. Dayton LaChance and Max Stammel certainly worthy of those honors. LaChance went 4 for 4 on the 25th against Bourne with 3 doubles, while Stammel started that game and stretched to his longest outing of the year for 5 innings.
And it's an opportunity here for Hyannis to pass the torch, because they've had a lot of guys who've really stepped up, especially if you take into account how this month has looked these last couple of games. It's got to be encouraging if you're Hyannis and Mitch Carricker.
Carricker and the staff looking for the guys that'll take them into the postseason should Hyannis hang on to the 3rd playoff spot in the West Division. Of course, these Cotuit Kettleers a point behind their crosstown rivals, clinging on to those final 2 playoff spots in the West. Luke Lavin replacing Tagger Tyson to begin the 7th. And the catcher out of Stanford takes a ball low from Zach Edwards. Lavin has only played 1 other time against Hyannis, not since June 21st. Edwards working quickly and levels the count. Interesting situation that Lavin was involved in. Ryan Speciak for Hyannis, a righty out of Stanford, came into the game, faced a pair of teammates in that 8th inning en route to a 5-out save.
I was just going to say, it was like the Stanford Cardinal game. Charlie Bates in the lineup for the Harbor Hawks, Speciak on the mound, then he struck out Sasaki and Lavin, the Stanford boys.
Of course, Lavin had to follow Rintaro Sasaki. Chops it to Charlie Bates. A bit of a run for the first out of the 7th inning. Flip the order for Camden Johnson. Another player who's played in every game against Hyannis this year, also one of 10 Kettleers, along with Luke Lavin, who was on the opening day roster and remains on the team here on July 29th. Facing Edwards for a first time in this game, after 3 at-bats against Mason Russell, the starter. And to stay on the topic, Max, of finding the guys that will carry Hyannis through the postseason, Zach Edwards putting in a bid to be the setup man. Another flare to short. Bates gobbles it up. He's got out number 2.
And it's a good point you bring up because at least now we've seen Edwards since late June, and he's been really impressive throughout the entire summer for Mitch Carricker. We've seen a couple of relievers start out strong, then have a cold spell in July, as did much of their teammates. But Edwards has been that stroke of consistency that Mitch Carricker has looked for.
And of course, you think setup man, you think 1 inning, get to the 9th, and get to the. It's been a closer by committee as well for Mitch Carricker, but Edwards asked for a bit more than that, as this is his 3rd inning of work. Fires a first pitch high to Ryan Farber. Talk about models of consistency with a guy like Jeff Lugie last inning. He's played in every game for Cotuit this year, Ryan Farber.
And it's an absolute grind. A lot of these guys come off playing a full season of summer or of college, and then to go in and play another, 40 games as we're seeing here. This is game 35. It's just the toll on the body. It's so extraneous.
Well, for Farber, he completes the Cape League season with Cotuit. Checks the swing.
Yeah, I did.
And he went around. 38 starts in 40 games for Texas State this past spring. Led the team with a .340 average. He's taken his talents to Auburn after 3 years with the Bobcats. 1-2. Outside from Zach Edwards to level the count. And for Farber, headed to the Tigers, a team that competes every single year in the stacked SEC, having this much experience but also this much success bodes well. Taps it right by the mound. It pierces into center field, and Farber reaches base for the 4th time in as many at-bats.
Didn't hit it all too hard, but that's not important. You hit it where they ain't. Zach Edwards executes his pitch and gets a weak ground ball. That's what he wants to do. Don't hang your head, young man.
Back-to-back singles as well for the shortstop, who stands on first base. Really does it all as a switch hitter. He's played all across the infield as well for Lauren Hibbs. And Farber will try to bring ahead the go-ahead run for Cotuit. Caden Bogenpole got the scoring started in the first with a 2-run blast. Off goes Farber. LaChance down to second. Skips it into Bates. Can't glove it in time. And it's another stolen base for Ryan Farber, his 2nd of the game.
Well, tough play for LaChance. The pitch was not a fastball. It was low in the dirt, and it just took off too much time. And Cotuit going to try to manufacture runs as well, and they're trying to buy it after that single.
Bogenpole's big swing, just his 2nd homer of the season, both against Hyannis. And Edwards finds a first strike. Lefty going in the pen for Mitch Carricker. Edwards in his 3rd inning of work and out away from completing 3 innings in back-to-back appearances. Just 3 days ago, he played against Chatham. And somewhat, Max, pitching around the big swinging Bogenpole.
Yeah, and after the home run and back in the 1st inning, a guy who's torched Hyannis all season long, with 2 outs, you have options.
He's got the go-ahead run on 2nd and Ryan Farber. Bogenpole takes the heat right down Broadway, and Edwards is a strike away. Fastball sitting 95-97. It's peaked at 98. Breaking balls haven't been as accurate as the fastball, and Edwards saves it for when he absolutely needs it. Does he bring it out here to end the 7th? 2-2. Just misses the outside corner, and Bogenpole runs the count full. Rising junior from Missouri State. Looks like it's Edwards' inning to finish for now. Infield comes in, 3-2. Tapped right back to Edwards, who flashes at it. Bates looking to end the inning with all 3 outs, and he does. 3-6-3 ground outs. Strand Ryan Farber's single. Time to stretch here on Cape League TV. Yeah. Time for the bottom of the 7th. It's 3-3 here at McKeon Park, but let's go around the league as this final week of the Cape Cod Baseball League season begins. Bourne and Brewster having completed their game. All those will start at 4 p.m. at Stony Brook Field, and the Whitecaps chasing down the Mariners, who are in the 6th inning against Orleans. Wareham giving it to last place Chatham. Well, that's the key game, the second one down. Falmouth now extends to the longest losing streak for any team this summer at 6 losses in a row. The Harbor Hawks will travel to Gov Fuller Field tomorrow, Max, for what is one of the bigger games of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be honestly a thriller coming up tomorrow. Two teams fighting for the postseason. Of course, Falmouth, everything going wrong right now. Hyannis, not that they don't have anything to lose, but they have a job to do, and that's to continue playing good baseball.
Now time for one of our favorite segments here on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network. Let's beat D-Bot. 13-12, headed into the final week of the season, D-Bot. It comes after a pretty rough stretch for you in July, along with the Harbor Hawks as well, but now you're over 500.
Yeah, you know, I'm feeling meh. That's how I'm feeling hot right now. It's very hot out. But, you know, I feel like I got a chance here.
Your player is Zane Starling from North Florida. The first batter in the bottom of the 7th is Sawyer Black.
Yeah, that's bad because we've done North Florida.
No rule about repeats.
No, there's not. I gotta start listening to when I talk.
You do.
I don't listen to myself.
You say coherent things.
Rarely.
Black lifts it foul. Johnson gives chase, and it bounces out of play. Racking his brain over here.
Oh my gosh. There's so many reasons I should know this.
There's one blaring reason.
Lodis, DeWeese, former Harbor Hawk, and we've done it before.
Those are 3 good reasons. Do you have it though?
No.
You should render a guess because we do have a rule about a shot clock.
We don't. Mustangs.
Swing and a miss. Sawyer Black down on strikes. It's the 3rd K for Cotuit tonight, and that is incorrect. They are the Osprey.
Yeah, wouldn't have gotten it.
The mascot of the Harbor Hawks is an Osprey.
It's a Harbor Hawk. We've been over this.
Technically, it's an Osprey. D-Bot back at 13-13, as you see there. Thank you for playing. Wyatt Halverson still atop the bump. He's got a first strikeout of his outing. And Charlie Bates takes the first pitch strike down Broadway. Max, this part of the order has been very effective tonight. Outside of Parker Brocious, 0 for 3. Sawyer Black with a 2-run home run, and Bates reaching on an E3.
And it shows how dangerous this Hyannis offense can be, because if they got assets 1 through 9 and a powerful bottom 3, kind of works as a pseudo 1-2-3 punch back to the top of the order looming.
Bates has played all over the lineup, too. Owen Prince, the leadoff man, on deck. Scoots out of the way of the breaking ball. And Bates endured what is likely the toughest stretch Eddie Harbor Hawk has faced this year. He's played in the 3rd most games of players on the active roster, and now is still making an impact even though he's not getting hits in as many bunches as he used to. 2 walks on Sunday against Wareham. He's walked in 3 out of the last 4. That does come back with a bit of a strikeout problem, though, with strikeouts in 4 straight entering Sunday. It's ahead in a 3-ball count. And he rips it into center field. Bogenpole and Stevens both back on it. The center fielder calls off the right fielder for a second out of the inning.
Well, kind of a banana route right here. Bogenpole took a very deep route to the ball in right center. Look at him round right back on this ball. He thinks the right fielder Stevens has it, and he's got to come right back in. And I think, honestly, the swing might have fooled him because Bates put a charge into that one.
It's the 2nd or 3rd ball tonight that on both sides the players just missed that ball. Of course, the 2 home runs tonight to the deeper parts of the ballpark from Caden Bogenpole. It was a moon ball in the 1st inning as Owen Prince takes a strike on the lower half. Sawyer Black hit a 400-foot home run to right center field, among the deeper from Hyannis this season. And now Prince flipping the order for a fourth time. A healthy cut at that breaker. Prince has got himself a couple of hits tonight. Only has scored one run in the first inning. RBI ground out from Jeff Luigi, who's in the hole. Singled his last time up in the fifth. Halverson's 0-2. On the outside corner, did he go around? No. And the inning stays alive.
Well, the Cotuit infield trying to sell that one. It was interesting. The last time the Harbor Hawks were up back in the the sixth inning, it seemed like that outside part of the plate to lefties pretty consistently called, and even Zach Edwards tried to go to that.
Favorable matchup for Prince. He chops it down the third base line. And he is a spark plug as true as any because of his speed. Third in the NCAA in stolen bases at 46 last year for VMI. Just hasn't gotten to show it in as many numbers as he'd like. One-two. Lifted into left field. Dean West ends the seventh inning. Been a trio of scoreless frames in a row. Make it a 3-3 game headed to the eighth.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Just 6 outs remain here at McKeon Park, and the upcoming schedule for Hyannis in this final week of the season is as pivotal as ever. 2 more matchups await against West Division opponents. Falmouth and Bourne have both lost tonight, and Hyannis, with a couple of wins in a row, can surge back into the upper echelon of the West Division.
And this is going to come down to the wire, Gio, especially because of how consistent this West Division is. Not a lot budging. Of course, Falmouth, the one team you go into tomorrow, the Harbor Hawks, going to be looking to take care of business. They've clearly established themselves as the bottom feeder of the West Division, and Hyannis has had success against them all summer.
Trio of matchups on the road against East Division opponents afterwards. As Sam Gerwal toes the rubber in the place of Zach Edwards, who stretched 3 innings, he now gives way to the left-hander out of Stanford, one of 2 Cardinal in the bullpen for Mitch Carricker. And Gerwal comes into a game that Zach Edwards did beautifully in.
Yeah, 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. How about this? He lowers his season ERA to 1.65. Going into the postseason, should the Harbor Hawks hold on and make that postseason, he's going to be Mitch Carricker's everyday guy. He's going to be a high-leverage reliever, kind of the setup guy to Ryan Speciok.
Teammates with Sam Gerwal at Stanford. 16 games for the Cardinal this past spring, an 8.20 ERA. That was a bit inflated from what Gerwal was used to there, the rising senior. 36 strikeouts to go along with 16 walks. Now appearance number 4 on Cape Cod, and he's only stretched past 1 inning once, getting 1 1/3 last time out when he pitched against these Cotuit Kettleers. Mitch Carricker keeping the consistency against Cotuit, pitching a couple of guys that have gone against these Kettleers in the past.
And it was the walks for Gerwal that got to him against these Kets. He had a clean first inning, and then that second inning of work kind of piled up on him.
Only recorded 1 out with 3 walks and just 1 strikeout on the day. Jack Natilli leads off the 8th for Cotuit. 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Cats. Deadlocked at 3 with Hyannis. Tried to change that with 1 swing. Natilli, of anybody, is the guy to do that for Cotuit. Cape League All-Star, this team's leader in home runs, also the team's leader in extra base hits with 6 doubles and a triple. Gerwal's breaking ball finds the lower corner. Natilli, a part of the consistency for the roster of Cotuit. 10 players on this Cotuit Kettleers roster were on the opening day roster as well. And all 9 on the opening lineup tonight played against Hyannis at some point this season. No doubt, Max, it's had a factor on this game.
And it really has. And once you come down to the wire this late into the summer, there's kind of that sense of familiarity, at least on the opposing sides. And we've seen a couple times this summer, at least the pitching, the way it's lined up, teams see the same types of guys, and that can play into either an advantage or a disadvantage, but depending on the way you look at it.
Natilli fights it off. Gerwal comes off the heels of his first full college season since 2023. Played 1 year for the Northwestern Wildcats and was an all-Big Ten freshman with 48 Ks in 49 innings. Then he goes to Stanford. He injured his shoulder, missed that entire season. Then comes back in 2025 and works out of the bullpen for the Cardinal team that featured Ryan Speciak as well. Teammates in Palo Alto and Hyannis. And Natilli continues to show why he's been so effective.
Yeah, he's able to fight off every pitch that he gets. He's looking to buy one over the fat part of the plate.
Natilli has reached base in every game he's played against Hyannis. This is 4th appearance against the Harbor Hawks, and that remains the case with a single in the 3rd. Gerwal's 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 1 batter, 1 strikeout for Sam Gerwal. It's the 6th K of the day for Hyannis to begin the 8th. Feels like a number that's lower given how well they've been over the last couple of frames.
And honestly, I know we've talked about it before, but it seems like Hyannis plays better baseball when they're not striking out as many opponents.
Just 2 walks issued by Hyannis pitchers tonight. No hit batsman and just 1 error in the field. Dean West jumps on the first ball, skies it to Parker Brocious. And outs on back-to-back pitches for Sam Gerwal.
Challenged him with the fastball and kind of beat him on the inside part of the plate. It's good to see Gerwal in the zone early.
Remember, that first inning of work against Cotuit was smooth. Faced 1 above the minimum. Then that second inning of work, he only records 1 out and walks 3. And that's where Cotuit began to unleash in that run rule victory on the 24th. Zan von Schlegel played in that game as well. Walked his last time up, but was also struck out tonight and quickly jumps ahead. Von Schlegel, a rising junior at St. Thomas, comes to the Cape, or rather was activated on July 14th, coming from the Northwoods League, where he played for the Duluth Huskies in Minnesota. Strike to level the count. Didn't walk a ton in his first couple of years with St. Thomas. Then he goes to Duluth and walks 24 times. He also bats a career-high .341. Smokes this to short, and Bates can't get to it. Von Schlegel makes the wide turnaround first, but stays put with a 2-out single.
Well, let's see where he wanted the pitch. A chance with his glove down in the zone, and that one missed, spelled high. And those are the mistakes that Hyannis will take as long as they're not slugging extra base hits. Nothing for free again. And looking to go right back after Gerwal, another left-handed hitter.
And there you see the effect of all those walks he worked in the Northwoods League on his approach at the plate. He's got a .333 average in 18 at-bats entering the game, but has walked just once here on the Cape in 6 games. Make that twice with a walk in the 6th. Gives way to Nolan Stevens. And the right fielder looks at a first pitch strike from Gerwal. Started the day off hot, did Stevens, with a single and a double. Now we'll have to get a couple more at-bats to complete the cycle after a strikeout in the 6th. Stevens headed to Oklahoma out of Mississippi State, joining Dayton LaChance and Miles Davis from Hyannis. That's a couple of JUCO guys headed to the Sooners, and joining Stevens and Norman. Gerwal with the challenge, and Stevens well late.
Well, there's the changeup. We don't see that all too often, especially the last time he played these Kets. He was only fastball slider. Now he goes to the changeup and kind of reopens the door on an entire new pitch because this team doesn't think he even has one. And all of a sudden you pull the string and you get that result.
Stevens keep the rally alive. Fouls it right back to us and fights it off. Stevens brings two-way versatility to the Sooners as well. He's pitched in a total of 16 games for the Bulldogs. Of course, 14 of those appearances come in 2024, but really used for his hitting for Mississippi State. Second on the Bulldogs in average at .320. And Gerwal a bit rattled by Zan von Schlegel at first.
Pitch clock was also getting down to 0, so he's stepping off as well just to give himself more time. Always kind of funny that they have the pitch clock but no disengagement rule.
Gives pitchers the liberty to control the game themselves. 0-2. Tipped into the mitt, strike 3. Sam Gerwal faces one above the minimum in relief of Zach Edwards. Hyannis heads to the bottom of the 8th, looking to break the tie. And we'll send it down to the field with Graham Nash.
All right, thanks so much, Gio. Well, it's no secret that Hyannis has been extremely successful over the past 3 ball games, and that's largely due to some phenomenal pitching from Hyannis relievers. Over the past 3 games, Hyannis relievers have put up a 1.38 ERA. That is the second best that they've had over a 3-game stretch, and keep in mind, this is the same relievers that have the highest season-long ERA. So something has just been clicking for Hyannis relievers. The only other time they've had an ERA below 1.3 over the course of 3 games, you have to go all the way back to June 21st to June 25th. That stretch started with a 3-1 win against Cotuit. Now, guys, I'm not saying that Hyannis has found it all again all of a sudden, but in close games like we're knotted up right here in this one, it comes down to the relievers. How can they perform, and how can they close a game late? Guys?
Well, thank you, Graham. Reliever in for Cotuit, as Hyannis has gone to a couple of arms in relief of Mason Russell tonight, Max, that have made quick work of Kettleer bats.
They really have, and kind of both teams with their back against the wall, fighting for that playoff spot.
Wyatt Halverson has done a phenomenal job in relief of Ryan Buckler. That's exactly what he did as well the last time he pitched against Hyannis. Would have been the last time he pitched overall 5 days ago at Lowell Park, when he relieved Max Haug after 4 innings and delivered 6 strikeouts, just 1 hit allowed of his own. And for Cotuit, if Halverson were to stretch the rest of the game, which he's certainly capable of given his pitching ability displayed this season, it'd be the 3rd straight game where Cotuit's only used 2 arms against Hyannis.
And going back to what I talked about earlier, when in scoreless games, Hyannis has drawn the most walks in the Cape League. That would be huge right here, to manufacture a run any way they can.
May not have been a scoreless game on Sunday against Wareham, but the Harbor Hawks walked like it was their job. 9 walks given by the gateman to the Harbor Hawks. Jace Doby, recipient of one of those, ducks out of the way and takes a tumble. Halverson sails one over his head. Obviously nothing intentional here, Max, but this is a scary sight.
Nope, but that could have been bad, and thank the baseball gods that nobody was hurt.
Hyannis has hit a batter off the helmet, coming against Chris Hakopian on July 4th. And Halverson buys a strike back after the scare.
And I should correct myself. I said scoreless games. I meant tie games, Hyannis with the most walks in the Cape League at 46.
And then it would go into 9 from the Sunday game against Wareham. And Doby with a big swing to stay alive.
And let's not forget the game-winning run came on that bases juiced walk to Luigi. And then Hyannis' bullpen, as Graham just talked about, able to shut it down.
Eddie Copper started that game, one of a couple pitchers that's vying for that third spot in the rotation that, as we've mentioned ad nauseum tonight, Max, is up for grabs. Mason Russell had a bid for it tonight, as did Copper with 4 scoreless innings. And Connor Kelly came in to close that game. On the check swing appeal, Jace Doby strikes out. Just a 4th strikeout of the night for Cotuit pitching. That's after, Max, the Harbor Hawks struck out 8 or more times in each of the last 3 losses to the Kettleers.
And the Kettleers pitching, they're able to get outs the way that is efficient. And it sometimes means strikeouts, sometimes means quick outs. I mean, a lot of quick first pitch outs, a lot of ground outs tonight for the Harbor Hawks. See Luigi rip one to the gap.
Luigi walked his last time up, but he does have an RBI ground out in this game. He chops one foul down the first base line. He was in attack mode there, Max.
Yeah, we've talked about ambush mode all season long. It seems like that kind of, at least that mindset died a little bit when Matt Miura left the team and was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. Once again, congratulations. But Hyannis kind of bringing it back as of late, and they've been playing a little bit better.
And Halverson hasn't pitched around a bunch of Harbor Hawk batters tonight. Didn't do so with Luigi, of course, this is his first time facing him, but did so a bit with Sawyer Black, where he tested those lower parts of the zones before eventually going to the challenge pitches. And Luigi jumps on another breaking ball. Rising sophomore headed back to Duke for the spring. Used to be teammates with Max Stammel, who we mentioned earlier. Stammel has since followed his former head coach to Virginia. Luigi cues the 1-2 foul. Luigi choosing to ride it out at Duke after Chris Pollard is headed to Charlottesville to join the Cavaliers. And he was likely, after this Cape League performance, due for more run at Duke, but now he'll get even more with a new staff. Dayton LaChance waits on deck. 1-2. Roped up right back past the mound and into center field. Luigi nearly takes the turn around second as that ball planted in center. And Caden Bogenpole made the long run to it.
Look at him go down and get this one. Jeff Luigi, professional hitter. They want it on the outside part of the plate. That leaks over the middle, but still in the lower part of the zone. So he gets a spot in that sense. And Luigi making it hurt on a mistake that is only about 2 to 3 inches off. We talk about it all the time in baseball, a game of inches.
And as opposed to the last rally in the 6th inning, of course, Hyannis went down in order in the 7th. A leadoff walk from Luigi was stranded as out comes the pitching coach to talk to Wyatt Halverson. And it was a 2-out rally in that 6th, but now Dayton LaChance with a bit more freedom with just the 1 out.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity for Hyannis here. We know LaChance, talking about the big hit. How about that Bourne game? He had it a couple times. Also wouldn't be a bad time for him to run into his first-round tripper, but of course, going back to what Mitch Carricker talked about earlier today, they're not focused on the scoreboard watching. They're not focused on what they've done in this game. They're focused on the next pitch, the next step bat. All this game is wiped clean. We're in a scoreless affair here in the 8th inning, basically a 0-0 game. And LaChance, an opportunity here.
One of his 3 doubles from that night against Bourne was the bona fide walk-off in that run rule victory for Hyannis. Got the Harbor Hawks to 10 runs to Bourne 0. Jumps on the first ball and skies it foul well out of play. LaChance, no stranger to the big swing. 21 homers this past season in 66 games for McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas.
Also, as we saw in his last time up, a double play possibility. With 1 out, wouldn't be surprised if we see a little hit and run action.
Luigi was cheating a bit off the bag, and Halverson tested him. Well, Camden Johnson on that last pitch drew closer to the infield grass. Of course, LaChance smoldered one down the third base line. And had he elevated that last ground out, Max, who knows what could have happened with that power.
Hit hard. That's all you could say, and that's all you can want as a hitter in the plate.
There's a couple balls that have come 100 miles an hour off the bat in just 7 games. Swings and misses through the 1-0. Another looping breaking ball from Halverson fools him. LaChance will have rising junior eligibility at Oklahoma when he joins the Sooners this fall. Native of Sherbrooke, Quebec, stands 6'4", 240. Truly built like a linebacker. 0-2. Checks the swing, but it bounces by Natilli, and off goes Luigi. Runner in scoring position. It's the go-ahead man in Jeff Luigi.
I believe either last year or the year before was the first year that they actually don't count JUCO eligibility. So he'd actually have 4 years of eligibility if that rule is still intact. It was just enacted about a year ago.
He got those 3 years or 2 years under his belt at McLennan, but like you said, Max, he will be able to resume at Oklahoma. Rockets it into left field. West back to the track. He leaps and makes the grab in front of the wall. LaChance a few feet shy from the go-ahead swing.
Missed it by that much. It's a breaking ball. And he honestly just got topspin on it. He hit it really hard, but if he had that backspin, that's going to fly.
And credit Dean West for the run to get back to the wall, because if that bounces off the foot of the wall, ricochets into center field, as it looks like this is the day for Wyatt Halverson with an arm warming up in the bullpen for Cotuit. Who knows with Dayton LaChance. A long second out of the inning. Wyatt Halverson's responsible for Jeff Luigi on second base. That brings an end to his day. New arm coming up for Cotuit after this.
This will be your college. This will be your home. This is where you will join a community that supports you, cares about you, pushes you, cheers you on, challenges you, inspires you, helps you reach your dreams. Open your eyes to opportunity and your mind to possibility. Your future begins here.
Make a difference. Leave your mark. Break the mold.
Be a leader. Achieve unimagined heights.
Believe in yourself.
Make lifelong friends.
This is your time.
Your place.
Your home. Your Dean.
It all starts here at Dean College.
The bottom of the eighth, a key spot for Hyannis with the go-ahead run in scoring position, and out comes Chase Carson to relieve Wyatt Halverson. Big for Hyannis to knock Halverson out of the game, as he has been the go-to middle inning guy for Lauren Hibbs, but Chase Carson, future teammates with Eddie Copper III of Hyannis at Charlotte, transferring after, as he stays at Charlotte, Copper transferring in to UNC Charlotte, senior from Topeka, Kansas, relieving Halverson after a good couple of out innings.
Yeah, 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 3 punch-outs. He was lights out, and he continues to have his torrid season.
0 for 2 in saves, and just those couple of opportunities this season. 4 games pitched in, 5 1/3. ERA at 6.75 with 4 runs allowed, but he has struck out 5 batters this season. As you mentioned, joining pitch with Eddie Copper III, who's moving from South Carolina to Charlotte this upcoming season. Jeff Luigi with a 1-out single. He's on second base, and Dayton LaChance, Max, just missed the go-ahead home run.
It was that topspin. He squared it up, but that topspin keeps the ball in the yard. It has it tumbling down. You got a clutch guy at the plate in Ryan.
2 hits on the game for Ryan McKay. He's fooled by the breaking ball from Chase Carson. Okay, with a double his last time up in the 6th. Stranded after a flyout from Parker Brocious. He's in the hole with Jake Schaffner on deck. Bounces away from Natilli. Luigi didn't get a great jump, so he scampers back to second.
And that was a good decision by Jeff, because he honestly had it pretty early, but he noticed that Natilli had his momentum on the turnaround right towards third base, and he throws the brakes on. You know the rule. You never make the last out at third.
Couple of all-stars involved in this inning with Luigi at second and Ryan McKay at the plate. Carson's 1-1. Ripped to short. Farber takes his time and ends the frame just barely. Carson faces one batter and strands Jeff Luigi. Go-ahead run left for Hyannis. Top of the 9th up next here at McKeon Park.
Your future begins at Dean College.
Make a difference. Leave your mark. Break the mold.
Be a leader. Achieve unimagined heights.
Believe in yourself. Make lifelong friends.
This is your time.
Your place.
Your home. Your Dean.
It all starts here at Dean College.
It's the final frame here at McKeon Park, and it's Sam Gerwal's game to finish for Hyannis. Stanford Cardinal reliever took over for Zach Edwards after 4 innings in relief of Mason Russell. Faced one above the minimum with a pair of strikeouts. Max, his last time out, he pitched against Cotuit. Got through that first inning pretty smooth, but then fizzled in that second inning of work. And he's hoping that doesn't happen here tonight.
And in that inning, that was the walks. And this is going to be a really big telltale for Hyannis because Kettleers batters, honestly, not too much of a walk game for Hyannis pitching, at least of what we've been seeing. And Gerwal looking to change that narrative and keep it where it is because you want to get the bats right back in the dugout. They had the go-ahead run on second base.
Top of the order due up for Cotuit. It'd be the 5th time flipping as Camden Johnson in the hole. Luke Matthews coming to the plate, and Luke Lavin due up after him. All 3 runs for Cotuit came in the first 4 frames. 2 of them with 1 swing of the bat in the top of the first as Caden Bogenpole launched a 2-run homer into right. Then in a wild 4th inning with a double from Roland Stevens and a fielder's choice from Luke Matthews scored that 2nd run on an E2 from Dayton LaChance. Matthews here at the plate in the 9th. Healthy cut at the first ball from Sam Gerwal. Leaned on that fastball quite a bit, Max. The breaking ball didn't really need to come out in that first inning of work. Oh, 1 offering. Clips the inside corner, and Gerwal jumps ahead.
Fastball's looking good this at-bat for Sam, and it's important if he has command over that pitch because that gives him the ability to tunnel based off it. We mentioned the 3-pitch mix, fastball, slider, changeup. We saw the changeup thrown for the first time against these Kettleers in his 2 appearances last inning.
Fly ball into right field. Sawyer Black walks a few steps and puts away a first out. Fastball doesn't come in all too hot for Gerwal, just 90 to 92, but that slider is his most effective off-speed.
And it's a wipeout pitch, and especially against a lefty like Luke Lavin, we're going to be seeing it a lot here. As Jake Schaffner said, the left-on-left slider is the hardest pitch to hit in baseball.
Gerwal leans fastball most of the time. In second, though, that slider, as you mentioned, the changeup, seldom used from the lefty. Luke Lavin at the plate for a 2nd time. Ooh. Rocks one off Dayton LaChance. He's taken a bit of a beating in his now 5 games catching for Hyannis this season. Of course, the last time he played Cotuit and caught was on the 24th. Stepped awkwardly on first base after his 2nd inning single, stayed in the game but was clearly hobbled in the next ensuing games. And Lavin pinch hit for Tagger Tyson in the 7th. 0-1 deal. Nearly hits him.
There's that front door breaking ball. It's such a tough pitch to locate. Kind of a mental block sometimes for guys. They get nervous throwing it to the same side hitter. They just get worried they're going to hit him, and it just goes too far inside.
Stanford teammates facing off in this at-bat. And Gerwal dips one low. Of course, the last time Cotuit and Hyannis would have had Stanford teammates face would have been the last time Lavin played against the Harbor Hawks on June 21st. Ryan Speciak asked for a 5-out save and delivered it by striking out a few of his teammates. Swing and a miss. Healthy cut at the fastball from Gerwal. And the Stanford Cardinal on the way to replicating Ryan Speciak's success.
I say you should just go right back to it.
If Hyannis can take the lead in the bottom of the 9th, Gerwal would be asked for a 6-out save of sorts. 2-2. Chopper, Ryan McKay at second base. Just jogs over and makes out number 2. Gerwal faced one above the minimum in the 8th and is an out away from getting Hyannis to the 9th.
And he's got a tough task ahead of him because this top of the order has done really well, especially Caden Bogenpole in the 3-hole, but you got 2 batters before you get there. The hope for Gerwal is to go 1, 2, 3 here, get the bats back in the dugout. It looked like they were about ready to pop, but weren't able to do it in that past inning.
Well, Lavin and Tyson, the 9 guys, the only Kettleers to not reach base in the order tonight. And Camden Johnson takes a first pitch strike at the knees. Johnson struck out to begin the game, but Dayton LaChance couldn't complete the out after dropping it. Johnson followed that up with a single and has since grounded out twice. Trying to extend this top of the 9th and avoid a 3-game skid for Cotuit. Follows the breaking ball low and takes for ball 1.
Well, there's the changeup. Only the second time he's thrown it today.
If you're Sam Gerwal, you cannot let this get to Ryan Farber, who's reached in all 4 times. He stands on deck. It's 2 stolen bases and 2 singles for the every game player for the Kettleers. 1-1. Swing, get a miss, and Gerwal's a strike away from avoiding that.
And he goes to the front door slider. Interesting to see that because LaChance was set up on the outside corner, so actually a mislocation. And Gerwal, he's lucky that didn't miss over the plate because that could be where you ask for a new baseball.
Camden Johnson looking to keep the inning alive and break the tie. Gerwal has his sign. He fires and throws low to level the count. Gerwal pitching in outing number 4 for Hyannis since being activated on July 9th. One of 20 new players activated by Hyannis since July 7th. 2-2. Floats high above the letters, and Johnson runs the count full. Gerwal coming off his first full season with the Cardinal after missing all of 2024 with a shoulder injury. Transferred in from Northwestern after 1 year with the Wildcats in 2023. It's a long hold, now the pitch. Chopped right back at him. A web gem, Gerwal races to first and ends the 9th himself. 1, 2, 3 in the top half of the frame, and Hyannis with a chance to break the tie after this.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And CAM Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. CAM Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.
If you need to dig, lift, move, grade, clear, or cut, pump, weld, clean, light, and just about anything else, dial up the rental source for the newest and the most reliable equipment in New England. Staffed with equipment and construction experts, Milton Rents, your local source.
This broadcast is a copyrighted production of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Any unauthorized duplication, retransmission, or other use is strictly prohibited. It's winning time for Hyannis in the bottom of the 9th. Hawks looking for their 3rd win in 4 games. A deadlock tie for Cotuit that has lasted now 6 frames. And Chase Carson, the lefty, only needed 1 batter to get out of Wyatt Halverson's mess in the 8th. And now the senior out of UNC Charlotte will be tasked with 6, 7, and 8 in the Hyannis order as he looks to get Cotuit to extra innings.
And Hyannis has the guys they want up. Jake Schaffner, kind of a spark plug. Lay down a bunt, he can work a walk, he can grab a base hit. Really, you can't go wrong with Jake Schaffner at the plate in this situation.
Schaffner has played in the third most games for Hyannis this year. A day 1 Harbor Hawk, who also missed 8 games with a wrist injury. Jumps on the first ball and fouls it back. Hit by a pitch at Falmouth on June 24th. Not every day you see a rising junior who is actively in the transfer portal return to the Cape League after that sort of thing happens. But he's come back, and is from that injury, Max, and has been reborn as a player.
Yeah, and that's actually after a bit of a slow start since coming back. Took him a couple of games to grab a base hit, and then he's been lights out ever since.
Hits in 9 of his last 10 games. Tips one into the mitt, strike 3. Schaffner starts off the 9th with a strikeout, his second of the game.
There's that breaking ball, the curveball over the top.
We told you, Max, when you filmed Highlight a Hawk, your weekly segment with him just a few weeks ago, that left-on-left breaking ball is the toughest to hit in baseball, specifically with the slider. Curveball fools him that time, and Parker Brocious takes a first pitch strike on the inner half. Brocious 0 for 3 tonight. The left fielder struck out in the 5th, go along with a flyout and a ground out earlier in the game. Perhaps no better time for Brocious to return, activated on July 20th over the All-Star weekend, returning to the Cape after 8 games here in 2024. Tries to get the game back with one swing of the bat on that fastball. Brocious, a rising senior, didn't have the season he had hoped for at Georgia Tech. And having someone with Cape League experience at this point in the summer is invaluable for Mitch Carricker. 0-2. Tails inside, and he's rung up. Jeff Merzale cocks back and rings him up. Couple of strikeouts to begin the 9th.
Right on the inside part of the plate.
Sawyer Black, the last hope. Sawyer Black, the last hope in this game. Perhaps no better person to have. 2-run home run in the bottom of the 2nd. Put Hyannis in front. Breaking ball floats to the outside corner as Black hit his 2nd home run of the season in the 2nd inning. And it's now the final hope for Hyannis as it tries to avoid extra innings for just the 2nd time this year. 0-1. Loops inside. And Carson's a strike away from having faced the minimum through 4 batters. Well, Charlie Bates, the 9-hole, is on deck. Flip the order for Owen Prince for a 5th time in this game if the inning extends that far. 0-2. Tails outside, and Black stays alive.
That's a professional take from Sawyer Black. There's that left-on-left curveball, and he saw it all the way.
I believe a pitch shy of an immaculate inning for Chase Carson. A couple of strikeouts started it. And a strikeout nearly ends it as Black gets a piece of that one. Black out of North Carolina, both a native of the state of out of Oak Ridge and a Tar Heel, headed back for his sophomore season. Future teammates with Jake Schaffner, who struck out to begin this 9th. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. To extras we go here at McKeon Park as Chase Carson strikes out the side to end the 9th.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Still tied after 9. Cotuit and Hyannis headed to the 10th. And out of UTSA, it's Connor Kelly, who is in 2 appearances, captured 2 saves, including on Sunday against Wareham. A really quick turnaround for the rising senior, Max, but he sure earned it.
Yeah, it's crunch time for the Harbor Hawks. You're going to have to stretch guys out, even with the kind of shortened rest in between. And Mitch Carricker, of course, kind of Harbor Hawks to the back against the wall. Cameron Johnson will start as the ghost runner in scoring position as well.
Sam Gerwal exits the game in relief of Zach Edwards, facing one above the minimum in his 2 innings of work. Only Zanvon Schlegel singled in that 8th inning. Put him down in order in the 9th, and as Max mentioned, 2, 3, and 4 due up with Camden Johnson on second base, and perhaps the most dangerous hitter in either order right now coming up to the plate in Ryan Farber.
Yeah, not the guy you want to see if you're Hyannis and you're just looking for quick outs, and ground ball right side does a job. It gets him to third with less than 2 outs as well.
Farber has reached on a pair of fielder's choices to begin the game. He's stolen 2 bases to go along with 2 singles in the 5th and the 7th. A player for Cotuit that's appeared in every single game, all 35 for the Kettleers to this point in the season. Headed from Texas State to Auburn after 3 years of the Bobcats. Cotuit on a 2-game slide entering the night. Can avoid that here with a 4th consecutive win in 5 meetings with Hyannis. Harbor Hawks looking to win 3 out of 4 for the first time in what feels like forever. Infield comes in, and Farber jumps ahead. Kelly's fastball last game, Max, sat at 93, but it looked a lot faster than that.
Yeah, it looked really firm.
He throws at a 6-8 release, which takes some velocity off the ball, even if it looks like it's coming in faster. And there's the fastball to level the count against Farber.
A lot of it's spin efficiency. You know, a guy like Shota Imanaga in MLB, he only throws about 90-91, but his fastball's so spin efficient, it looks like it's rising.
And Kelly sure looked like he was hitting 97, 98 just off the eye test, but clocked 93, 92. For the 1-1, he spins and nearly plunks Camden Johnson on the pickoff attempt. Kelly and Dayton LaChance, a couple of newcomers for Hyannis. Kelly activated on July 18th, a couple days before the All-Star game. Played in that game against Falmouth. More heat to jump ahead in the count for the rising senior from UTSA. Of course, UTSA had itself a historic 2025 season, won its first NCAA tournament game on May 31st, upset number 2 Texas to win the Austin Regional and head to the Supers for the first time ever. 1-2. Chopped past Johnson, leaping over the ball. Tough play for Bates. He doesn't even attempt it. And now runners on the corners for Cotuit with no one out.
Yeah, really no play for anybody here. It's just one of those balls in no man's land. And Charlie Bates making the right decision to pocket that, because if he throws the first, he's not going to get him, and he runs the risk of throwing it away.
Bates made all 3 outs in the 7th inning at the 6 hole. But there, just too difficult to risk that throw in this spot. With the speedster Ryan Farber 90 feet away from the go-ahead run. Caden Bogenpole got the scoring started in the first for Cotuit with a 2-run blast. Lays off the first pitch he sees from Connor Kelly in the 10th. Bogenpole out of Missouri State broke nearly every program record this past spring in 2025, a lot of which were held by Philly great Ryan Howard, World Series champion with Philadelphia in 2008. Dayton LaChance makes an effort to scrape that ball away.
Yeah, that's a cross-up right there. He's going to head back out. That's really scary. That was a fastball straight away, but he looked like he was take another look. And honestly, very impressive that he caught that ball. Basically, they had the signs mixed up, and he thought he'd be seeing a breaking ball. He gets a heater at 93.
And in this spot, with that go-ahead run, as you see there, just 90 feet, no matter whether it's a cross-up, Max, it'd still be a mistake for Connor Kelly and Dayton LaChance.
And it's still a run saved by LaChance for not letting it get by.
Big swinging Bogenpole has not reached base since that homer in the first. Now would be a great time to get back for him. 1-1. Looked for the second homer there, and Kelly jumps back in front.
Obviously, strikeout is what you want here, but Hyannis would trade 2 outs for a run in the given situation. They have the middle infield back. Corners are even.
For Connor Kelly, he gets the strikeout here. A wipeout slider from the UTSA Roadrunner for the first out.
Look at him hit his spot on the outside part of the plate. Back door with it, that's tough.
And there's the stuff we've seen from Connor Kelly through 2 appearances. Both of them saves, both of them 1-inning outings in the 9th. Faced the minimum in each frame. And these 2 guys on base, of course, one of them an automatic runner, and Camden Johnson on third. Ryan Farber single, the first base runner allowed for Connor Kelly this season. First pitch to Jack Natilli, scoots low, and off goes Ryan Farber at second.
There's a wild pitch right there. LaChance had an opportunity, but he kind of just slow to get up to the ball.
This battery off kilter is now Ryan Farber has moved into scoring position in his 5 at-bats 4 times. Infield comes in. Every infielder's got their toes on the infield dirt, or infield grass rather, for Natilli. If he were to just spring it over those infielders, Max, it could bring both runs home with Farber's speed.
It's the risky run.
Strikeout of Caden Bogenpole is big, and the second out will be that much more significant for Connor Kelly. Slices the 1-1 foul. Natilli with a couple of strikeouts tonight. Of course, those flank a single in the 3rd and a flyout in the 5th. Rising junior at Cincinnati. One-two. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Kelly dials up a couple breaking balls for back-to-back Ks.
Look at him go to the front door. Can I help you? I guess not.
Strikeouts number 8 and 9 on the night for Cotuit. And the final hope is Dean West. 0 for 3, 2 flyouts and a ground out to go along with a walk in the 3rd. He's got 2 on in Johnson, the automatic runner, and Farber after a single. Kelly's pumped gas all season long, but it's been that off speed that's worked well for him tonight.
And he just missed right there, but it's looking automatic.
Makes him doubly more dangerous if the off speeds are working as well as that fastball. 1-0. Dips beneath the knees of West. He's got an open base at first, so the walk not the end of the world for Connor Kelly. But it would place him into a first jam this season. He's faced the minimum in both of his prior outings against Falmouth and Wareham, as mentioned, and hasn't dealt with any adversity at that. Not the case for his time at UTSA. 2-0, drifts inside, and a first 3-ball count of the outing here.
And that's how important the first pitch of this at-bat was, because he had that backdoor breaking ball that he thought he got the call outside, and it changes the entire complexion of the AB. Now he's almost playing catch-up, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if he just reaches here, because then you got a new fresh start with a force at any base.
3-0, dunks low, and indeed, that situation created. 2-out walk for Dean West, and that brings up Zan von Schlegel. Von Schlegel has reached in each of his last 2 times to the plate to follow up a strikeout in the 3rd and a flyout in the 2nd. Walked in the 6th, singled in the 8th, and out comes Mitch Carricker. There's been a lefty warming up this entire inning. Doesn't look like he'll take the ball here from Kelly, though.
No, he won't, especially when he brings the infield in. Looks like it's a coaching moment. Scouting report, calm him down. We've seen this a couple times for Mitch Carricker. Just kind of a heart-to-heart.
A mix of strategy and motivation, Max?
Exactly so.
Kelly has sure earned the right to stay in this game. Only 2 innings. This is his first time facing the minimum in a couple of innings. Not facing the minimum, rather, in a couple innings. It'd be Hunter Dietz to come into the game in place of the righty Kelly, should this progress any further. Zan von Schlegel with his back against the wall, but the base is loaded in the top of the 10th. Fifth straight ball from Connor Kelly.
And it's imperative to strand these runners, because if you can go into the bottom half with the ghost runner on second and a tie, you got a good chance.
Infielders have backed up. In fact, the middle infielders have their heels on the outfield grass. Flared down the first base line into the Cotuit bullpen. And the wind also favors Zan von Schlegel as it blows on that flag in right center field at his back, as it has all game long. Both the home runs in this game have sailed out to right field, maybe with the help of that wind. One. 1-1. Drifts just inside. Kelly falls behind. Given the slate for both of these teams this week, final week of the Cape League season on deck, this could be the most decisive inning of the season for each of these teams. And Kelly gets one back.
Well, he missed it with the breaking ball. He goes to the heater. He's got a lot of options here at 2-2. You cannot let it go full, because then it'll be time to party.
These teams separated by just 1 point in the West Division, clinging to the last 2 playoff spots. Kelly just a strike away. 2-2. Roped right back up the mound. Slow roller to Bates. He goes the short way and sends it to the 10th. All square at 3, and Hyannis has a chance to win the game.
Owning a home means you can protect your family and put down roots in a community you care about. It gives you a place to celebrate the joys of daily living and be together during tough times. But for many on Cape Cod, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. Help make sure the American dream is available to the teachers, public safety professionals, and all the other people who make the Cape a special place. Visit capehousingmatters.org to find out more.
3 outs remain for Hyannis. Connor Kelly faced as much damage as he has in his Hyannis career with the bases loaded, and he strands them with a ground out to Charlie Bates. Bates due up to begin at this bottom of the 10th for Hyannis. Devin Mitchell going to pinch hit in his place. Right fielder headed to NC State, has been in this spot before, and it didn't go his way, Max, but it's a powerful bat looking to get the automatic runner home in one swing of the bat.
Looking for that left-on-right matchup, and that's all you can do. Mitchell, his first step out of the season, he went big fly. Be a cool opportunity here, but it's an opportunity in itself because he's got the better matchup.
For Devin Mitchell, another one of these late arrivals for Hyannis, activated on July 7th. Now he's played the brunt of this season in 10 games, with regular playing time played in 6 straight games, Max, but recently it's been more sporadic appearances for Devin Mitchell.
Yeah, and it sometimes takes a guy out of his rhythm because, you know, you like everyday action, but Mitchell coming off the bench most recently, and now that narrative can change. Like we said, like Mitch Carricker said, whatever happened in this game, whatever happened this season, it doesn't matter. It's this at-bat. It's this next pitch. It's the next opportunity.
Started his Cape League career on July 11th when he pinch hit for Jason Walk in the 6th. Solo shot in his first Cape League at-bat, squaring to bunt with the infield in. He takes a strike right upstairs from Chase Carson. Relieved Wyatt Halverson for 1 batter to close out the 8th. He's faced the minimum in all 4 batters he's faced, with 3 strikeouts in the bottom of the 9th. Sawyer Black's the automatic runner on second for Hyannis. Another square to bunt, and it's clear what Mitch Carricker's intentions are here.
Probably will have to swing it now in an 0-2. Corner infielder's backing up. Still first baseman on the even with the cut.
Told us Sunday after the 1-1 win against Wareham that it can come in any way possible. And Mitchell strikes out with a heavy swing. Fourth K in a row for Chase Carson.
Breaking ball honestly caught a lot of the play, but Mitchell just swinging out of his shoes on the 2-strike count. Now you got a speedy guy, and of course Cotuit brings their corners even with the cut.
Hyannis has struck out now 8 times or more in the last 4 meetings against Cotuit. Trying to win at least one of them. Skips into Jack Natilli with a key block to keep Black at bay. Owen Prince, the leadoff man, flipping the order for a 5th time in this game. 2 for 4 with a double and a single, as well as a run scored in that first inning. Doby on deck, Luigi in the hole. Breaking ball floats in, and Natilli was ready for the steal from Sawyer Black.
2-0 count. Wouldn't be surprised if they let him go on here, because then it would put that double play into effect. But there's a big hole in the right side of the infield. Matthews covering the runner.
And a lefty in Owen Prince ready to pull it. 2-0. Flared the other way into left. Dean West approaches and puts away a second out. Brings in the possibility of a tie. Only 1 extra inning played on Cape Cod. It would bring both of these teams with the same amount of wins, still a point apart heading into this final week.
And that out magnifies that Mitchell strikeout, because if he had been able to get the bunt down.
They'll put Jace Doby on base with an intentional walk. And that, Max, as you mentioned, creates the force.
Yes, it does with 2 outs. But what I was saying is that would have been a walk-off sac fly right there. And Luigi, they want the left-on-left matchup. Going to have to go. I took that personally right here.
You say the word consistency with these Hyannis Harbor Hawks, and Jeff Luigi comes to mind. Mid-season arrival, but took the place of Jackson Willits, who was released on July 14th and is intended All-Star starter at the All-Star game a couple of weeks ago. It's done nothing but be effective for Hyannis this season. But Chase Carson jumps into the driver's seat. Luigi's hitless in his last 2 games. He broke that streak with an 8th inning single tonight, but has walked in each of the last 2 games as well. 0-1. Just misses the upstairs corner. For Carson, it's the first base runner allowed in the first 6 batters he's faced. 4 of them strikeouts after taking over for Wyatt Halverson in the 8th. You get it to the powerful Dayton LaChance on deck if Luigi can extend the 10th. Breaking ball tails inside, and Carson falls out of it. Black's the automatic runner at second, and Jace Doby intentionally walked after a strikeout and a flyout from Owen Prince and Devin Mitchell. Carson's 2-1. Drifts outside, and a 3-ball count to Jeff Luigi creates a golden opportunity for Dayton LaChance.
And also an opportunity for Luigi now, because he's going to try to put this in the strike zone. He doesn't want to face the big bad LaChance left on right, who he knows has pops going back to his last at-bat.
Forced to pitch to the Duke Blue Devil. 3-1. Right down Broadway, and Luigi tried to rip it. He got the heater, and just a bit late to it.
Runners will be on the move now.
3-2 with 2 outs. Teams Cotuit salvaging the tie. Hyannis going for the win. 3-2. Inside. Natilli went for the throwdown, but Luigi loads the bases for the big swinging Dayton LaChance.
And Cotuit has a righty warming up in the bullpen, and looks like they're going to make the call. Yep.
Now comes Cotuit's pitching coach, and indeed, a righty will be asked for just 1 out in this inning. It'll be a tough out with Dayton LaChance coming to the plate as Cotuit tries to salvage the tie here in the bottom of the 10th. We'll meet the new hurler for the Kettleers after this.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Well, Jonathan Adelman will be asked for 1 out here in the bottom of the 10th as the Kettleers look to salvage the tie. Righty, a rising sophomore at Bucknell. Has played 3 years for the Bison and has 5 saves to his name from this past spring.
And Dayton LaChance tasked with something hard. The right-on-right matchup, and he's looking for redemption after that last at-bat, that fly out to left field, which he hit on the screws. But we talked about the top spin. Now's the opportunity for the backspin.
Stands 6'7", 235, native of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Not his first time coming into a bases-loaded jam and inheriting that exact situation. Worked out of a bases-loaded jam in the bottom of the 9th against Chatham on July 15th. Struck out 2 of the next 3 batters after he inherited that, and Cotuit ended up beating Chatham in extras. Of course, the Kettleers endured their toughest start to a season since 2016, 1-7. Since June 28th, that record a game over 500 as they trail Hyannis by 1 point for that 3rd playoff spot in the West.
And nowhere to put LaChance. A walk wins it for Hyannis. They'll take anything they can get.
LaChance may be 0 for 4 in this game, but it's come by just a few feet. A long fly out in the 8th inning, just a couple feet shy of the go-ahead home run.
Well, a chance for LaChance.
Native of Sherbrooke, Quebec, headed to Oklahoma out of McLennan Community College, where he had a prolific season. 21 home runs in 1 year would win the game for Hyannis. 3rd out of 4 for the Hawks. Looks for it there and misses well behind. Jonathan Adelman comes into this game in place of Chase Carson, who struck out 4 of the 7 batters he faced. And now Adelman is a strike away from cleaning up his mess.
And now LaChance has to shorten up. He had some big hacks there. Doesn't have the liberty to do that in the 2-strike count. Anything for free could win this game. A wild pitch, anything. The walk, of course. But he's got to stay in this at-bat and lock it in.
Black at 3rd, Doby at 2nd, Luigi at 1st. And Adelman sails the 0-2 high. Black was the automatic runner to begin the 10th. After a strikeout from Devin Mitchell and a flyout from Owen Prince, Doby was intentionally walked, while Luigi worked a walk on a full count. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Cotuit salvages the tie in 10 innings. Another hanger from Jonathan Adelman, and that helps the Kettleers to escape from this game.
Yeah, tough one for Hyannis. They really wanted to take that one, especially after they had the scoreless top of the 10th inning. And as we come down the line, 4 ties on the season for the Harbor Hawks. It's kind of one of those weirder years, and they're going to look to go into Falmouth tomorrow and take care of business.
The Commodores, perhaps the only saving grace for Hyannis tonight. They fell in big fashion to YD. A Cape League long 6-game losing streak on the line tomorrow as the Harbor Hawks head to Guff Fuller Field. But stay tuned here on Cape League TV. Hawk Talk Live is next.
At the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
It's time for Hawk Talk Live here at McKeon Park. First game of the final week of the regular season here on Cape Cod, and Hyannis and Cotuit in the 5th and final meeting of the summer play to a 3-3 tie in 10 innings. All the scoring for these two squads happens early on. Cotuit jumps out in front with a 2-run home run from Caden Bogenpole, but after that, Hyannis and Cotuit play to scoreless frames, and Graham Nash is with Mitch Carricker right after it.
All right, thanks so much, Gio. Here with manager Mitch Carricker. Coach, another really close result over the past 4 games. How does this, I guess, where do you rank this with that result, and what do you take from this tie?
We're in a position to win there. We just got to execute a little bit better. Felt good about the guys we had coming up. Just came up a little short.
A lot of positives over the last 4 games, but if you had to pick one thing that has really stood out to you that's changed since the middle parts of the month, what would that be?
I think our pitching staff's done a really nice job. I think tonight they were really good again, just giving us a chance to win. And the bullpen came in, Edwards and Sammy and then Kelly there. That was a huge 0 there in the 10th. And so I think there's huge growth there. And I think offensively we're doing a nice job. Defensively we've really stepped up our game. So I think there's a lot of positives we can grab. We just got to find a way to get wins.
I do want to talk about Connor Kelly. Brought him in for a 2nd straight game. What was the final decision in deciding to toss him back in after 1 day's rest?
Yeah, he didn't throw very many pitches that first day. Obviously we like it when he has the ball. He's got good stuff. And it was a perfect situation for him. He did a nice job.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Graham. And as we welcome you into the broadcast booth here at McKeon Park, after that 10-inning 3-3 tie for the Harbor Hawks, it's the remainder of Hawk Talk Live here from the booth at McKeon Park with Max Schwartzberg. I'm Giovanni Collada. You heard in that interview, Max, that Mitch Carricker proud of what he got from Connor Kelly and this bullpen as a whole, and despite the tie, that's been a major area of concern for Hyannis, so positive to see that it delivered tonight.
Yeah, and the pitching was lights out if we really go back down to it. After that tough first inning with that Caden Bogenpole home run, you really like the response because we talked a lot about the starting pitching earned run average being so great. How about the relievers really stepping up tonight? Only 2 walks on the day for Hyannis pitching, and like Mitch Carricker said, they gave him a chance to win. They weren't able to fully execute, but the pitching, if they're going to play like that moving forward, they have to hang their heads high.
And let's talk about those starters for a minute, Max, because that ERA is 2nd in the Cape League among Hyannis starters, yet that is largely a byproduct of a lot of names that are no longer here. Carson Yassa and Max Stammel have been effective as starters for Mitch Carricker, but that 3rd spot as Hyannis looks to hang on to a playoff spot in the West Division still really up for grabs, and Mason Russell put forth a bid for it tonight.
Yeah, Mason Russell was lights out, and then you got a guy like Max Stammel, as we talked about, Eddie Copper. It's really who's in, who's out, and during this last week of the season, I think Mitch Carricker is going to go into kind of guinea pig time because Falmouth just keeps losing, if we're being honest. But Hyannis, they can't let out on their leash because they have to keep going. And there's a way to do that while trying to test out who you can have, because there's going to be your bona fide starters. Like you mentioned, Carson Yassa going to be in the mix, of course. But it's an opportunity for Mitch Carricker to see who's working out, and I think he's really liking what he's been seeing from his guys.
And there's no reason not to, especially tonight, as Mason Russell worked out of that two-run first inning with that home run from Caden Bogenpol. Did not allow a run across his next two frames. Did get 5 hits but struck out 3. Really looked in command of the strike zone. And Max, as you mentioned, that standings race. It's oh so tight in the West Division. Still really anybody's race, as Hyannis is just 5 points behind first place Wareham coming into the game, with the game remaining against the Gatemen to end the season here at McKeon Park. They now go 5 points clear of Falmouth for 5th place to fall out of that playoff spot and have a key game with the Commodores tomorrow at Gov Fuller Field.
Yeah, and you mentioned key game. That is going to be imperative for both games, because if Hyannis is able to win tomorrow, they're going to really put the momentum in their favor. If Falmouth wins tomorrow, that keeps their hopes alive, because, you know, we've talked about it all season long, especially in July. This is a Western Division that is kind of up for grabs. I mean, Hyannis just traveled to Wareham and took care of business against a good Gateman team, but that didn't seem like the biggest struggle for the Harbor Hawks, considering the Gatemen walked 9. So there's a lot of strong strengths and weaknesses out of all the teams in the West. Of course, Cotuit, their pitching staff a strength, the hitting kind of a weakness. We didn't see that necessarily today in those early innings, but every team seems to have had some good checks and balances that it's really up for grabs.
For a Cotuit team, Max, that came into the day against Hyannis in the prior 3 meetings with the Harbor Hawks, unloading for 30 runs and 37 hits, it was held somewhat at bay today, and that's a positive to take for Hyannis.
Yeah, it sure is, and that comes back down to the bullpen, as we've talked about. They really set it down for Mitch Carricker, especially after a strong start from Mason Russell, after the tough first inning. You like to see the way he turned the page. And then how about a guy like Sam Garewell coming in for 2 innings of work? And the last time they played Cotuit at Lowell Park, Garewell had that clean first inning. Then the second inning was really tough for him. But this time, no harm, no foul. He went 1, 2, 3, and he looked really good.
Cotuit salvages a tie against the Harbor Hawks, and Hyannis feels like it's got something left on the table, but a chance to take it right back tomorrow at Gov Fuller Field for a critical matchup with the Falmouth Commodores. That's going to do it for us here on Hawk Talk Live. For our entire crew on Cape League TV, for our producers Charlie Adams, Sam Montag, and Daniel Bottolino, for our sideline reporters Ava Fernandez and Ethan Wax, for my partners Max Schwartzberg and Graham Nash, I'm Giovanni Collada saying so long and good night.
I think, Dean, they're allowing you to find your own success and your own true independence.
Dean is a whole group of all different kinds of people and communities.
Since I've come to Dean, I've learned a lot of time management skills.
Our community is especially tight-knit, and the majority of our students live on campus. And you are guaranteed 4 years of housing while you attend Dean.
Dean is just full of opportunities for you to embrace, to welcome, so you can change yourself to who you want to be and form your career for the future.
So go through that, all right? Think that way.
Be a bulldog. Have a bulldog mentality in everything you do in life, whether you're playing sports or in the classroom or just socializing around campus.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget, with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home, with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.